What if Naruto forged a bond deeper than anyone imagined with the Fem Kyuubi? And what if, amidst this bond, he unlocked an ancient summoning contract, not with toads, but with dragons? Prepare for a story of heart-pounding romance, jaw-dropping power, and epic battles as Naruto discovers the secrets of the dragon summoners, challenges the norms of the ninja world, and dares to rewrite his fate. Welcome to part 2 of What If Naruto Fell in Love with Fem Kyuubi and Had a Dragon Summoner, only on Anime T23, where the impossible becomes reality. Chapter 10, Chunin Exams, Preliminary Rounds. Forest of Death, Central Tower. As the genin and their sensei left the center of the room and made their way to the stairs on the sides in order to reach the watching area, only 3 ninjas stayed down in the ring. The first one was Gekko Hate, the referee. Then the 2 others were Uchiha Sasuke and a Kado Yoro whose names were just called moments before, supposedly randomly picked and currently displayed by a giant electronic screen at the back of the room. Uchiha Sasuke versus Akado Yoroi. The fight went on pretty quickly. Yoroi was using taijutsu only, and surprisingly Sasuke too. Naruto wondered why the Avenger was not using his trademark fireball techniques. Sasuke used a strange taijutsu combo to take out Yoroi. I have to admit that last move the Uchiha came up with was quite something, said Naruto to his teammates. That's not something he invented by himself, Naruto-kun, replied Hinata as Naruto raised an eyebrow at her answer. What do you mean? Asked Naruto confused. It is a taijutsu move used by Mato Guy, my cousin Neji-sensei and Rock Lee, the one Sasuke asked about in the beginning of the exams with Kabuto-san, said Hinata as she had occasionally seen Neji's training with his team in the past. I see. He must have awakened his bloodline during the time after the Wave mission. And now, to think that the bastard would use a copy one of his own ally technique, analyzed Naruto. Lee and Guy seemed a bit unnerved by what they saw in the arena, but chose to say nothing about it. Kakashi just helped Sasuke leave the ring, and then took the Avenger with him somewhere. The board then flashed again, and the next fight started. Aburame Shino versus Abumizuku. Shino once again displayed his strategical prowess as he came up with a 3-part plan to take down his opponent. First, he showed his Kakai bugs around himself to everyone's eyes. This served as a distraction, as a swarm of those bugs then discreetly made their way around the unsuspecting Zaku. Finally, as the Oto Nin was panicking at the sight of the first trap, Shino sent a small portion of his familiars to sabotage his enemy's weapons, his arms. The result was Zaku blowing up his arms with his own jutsu, effectively ending the fight. The next fight was then called Tsurugi Masumi versus Abaka no Kankuro. Again, the fight was a quick one. Kankuro turned out to be a puppet master. His body turned into a puppet when his opponent tried to beat him with a taijutsu move. The real Kankuro was hidden in his strange backpack, using chakra strings to operate the fake body. His opponent was beaten quite easily after that. The next fight proved to be amazingly boring. Yamanaka Ino versus Haruno Sakura. The 2 fangirls ended up in a double KO. No one was impressed by their fight. As none of the contestants can continue the fight, no one shall advance to the next round, declared Hate as he called the next match. Tenten versus Abaka no Timar. Another kunoichi fight, though this one proved to be a lot more interesting. Tenten was heavily dependent on her weapons. Naruto was particularly interested in her ability with sealing scrolls, and thought it would be a good idea to ask her about it later. Temari was using a big-ass fan and used it to deflect every attack made by Tenten by throwing wind attacks with it. It was the first time Naruto encountered someone using wine other than him. Tenten lost after Temari used another combo of her fan and wind technique, the Ninpo Kamaitachi. Then the next fight was called Kintsuchi versus Nara Shikamaru. Shikamaru was not pleased to have to fight a woman, but thanks to a good strategy, he did not have to put much of a fight to win his match. Finally, a member of Team 8 was called next. Uzumaki Naruto versus Kinyuta Dast. Naruto remembered his opponent from the first part of the exams. He was from the team who attacked Kabuto after he said Oda was a minor in weak village. This Odo Nin was interesting because even though he did not make solid contact with Kabuto when he punched him, Kabuto still suffered some kind of internal damage. Naruto thought that the special device that Shinobi had on his arms was the cause of all that. Naruto was pulled out of his musing by Dosa talking to him. So you're that kid from the bingo book that Kabuto guy was speaking about. Must be some kind of bull from Konoha Nins banding together to scare the opposition by spreading fake rumors like that. Taunted Dosa, but Naruto just stood in his original position, not showing any signs of irritation whatsoever. Seeing that Naruto did not take the bait, Dosa decided to charge. They ended up in a taijutsu spar. As they were exchanging blows, Naruto occasionally felt the wind around him shifting, almost bending to follow the Odo Nin's movements. The enemy's movements were good, but a lot weaker and slower than what he had usually encountered against Kurenai or Anko. He was about to launch his Kitsune Yuri-ai to finish his opponent when he suddenly lost his balance and almost fell to the ground. His vision was also starting to get blurred, and his head was killing him. So it seems my attacks are finally starting to affect you. I was starting to wonder if you were immune to them, said Dosu. Naruto then understood what just happened. Why your arms, the sound, replied Naruto. Exactly the sound. Do you even know what a sound really is? Asked Dosu. Vibrations, replied Naruto, still trying to stay up. Correct. And if you are able to hear a sound, then that means that your ears were able to capture the vibrations in the air, explained Dosa before adding, there is no defense against my attacks. And with my next attack, I will rupture your internal hearing system, announced Dosu as he resumed the fight, running straight to Naruto. Shit, I can't let him hit me again with that move, or I'm done for, analyzed Naruto before planning for his next move. Naruto started going through hand signs. Then he called his technique as Dosu was approaching him. Futon. Tsubaime Geisshi, said Naruto as he threw two kunai away. The experienced ninja around him were a little surprised by what Naruto just called his jutsu. Those were the hand signs for the kunai kage bunshin no jutsu. Why'd he call it Tsubaime Geisshi was a question on every Jonin plus leveled ninja in the room. The kunai went straight around Dosa, missing him from a good meter on each side. I don't know what technique you tried to use, but it obviously failed. You can't even properly throw a kunai straight at me after being hit by my jutsu earlier, taunted Dosu as he continued to run straight to Naruto to finish the job. His arrogance made him miss the looks of surprise on everyone's faces as the two kunai Naruto launched suddenly separated in 10 kunai each. Then the two barrage of kunai changed path and turned back in a curved path, this time to point directly at the back of the unsuspecting Dosu. As a flock of bird, the barrage of kunai took form and dived in a straight path to pierce the back of the Odo Nin. Dosu could only blink as the pain took over in his whole body. Fortunately for him, no kunai were aimed at a vital spot, but the pain was still excruciating. He lost consciousness pretty fast. The doctors went to stop the bleeding as soon as possible, and Naruto was declared the winner in an absolute silent room. The only 5 people who understood part of what Naruto called Tsubaime Geisshi were Team 8, Anko, and the old man. So he did have to use hand signs and call the jutsu out loud after all to perform a jutsu that is not entirely based on wind manipulation, analyzed the Sandaime. Yu-Gao will be pleased to know that he put one of the jutsu she taught him on weapons to use in a fight so fast. Combining it with wind chakra no less, Anko mused with a grin on her face. A good fight, Naruto. Great strategy against something you didn't expect. You turned what he thought as a weakness he created on you into a distraction to prevent him from noticing your attack until it was too late, said Kurenai as Naruto joined Team 8 back in the watching area. Thank you, Sensei, replied Naruto. Your turn now, Kiba, and Hinata you have to pass this round to, added Naruto to his teammates as the next fight was called. Hyuga Hinata versus Hyuga Neji. The fight between Hinata and Neji was a demo of Konoha's most noble family taijutsu style. Neji was at first surprised that Hinata was a lot more confident than usual. She also seemed to have increased her overall skill in the mastery of the gentle fist. Nevertheless, Neji was more experienced, and he had seriously practiced the family art for a lot longer than her. So he eventually took the advantage in the fight and blocked a major part of her tenketsus. He was increasingly starting to get annoyed by her attitude to never give up and tried to use a killing blow on her only to be stopped by Jonins, who did not want to have someone die unnecessarily. He was declared the winner due to external interference. As he left, he exchanged hard looks with Kiba and Naruto. The next fight was then called Rock Lee versus Sabaka no Gaara. Lee turned out to be a lot stronger than what most of the ninja in the room anticipated. He used very high taijutsu moves, and his speed was on par with Jonin-level shinobi. Naruto, though, already knew how the match would end. He remembered his conversation with Natsuki about Gaara being someone like him, Jinchuriki for the one-tailed raccoon Shikaku. In the end, Lee used some ultimate taijutsu move, going above the human body's limits, but failed to seriously injure Gaara. Gaara, on the other hand, did try to kill the Konoha shinobi, but only managed to seriously injure Lee by crushing one of his arms and legs. Before the psychotic redhead could go on and finish Lee, Guy saved his student's life by interfering during the fight. Gaara was declared winner by default because of Guy's interference, and went back to his team waiting for him in the watching zone. It was then time for the last fight of the day. Inuzuka Kiba versus Akimichi Choji. Kiba and Choji faced each other in the ring for the last spot to the Chunin exams finals. Neither of them lost any time as they launched their special techniques right at the bat in preparation for the fight. Ninpo, Baika no Jutsu, called Choji as he transformed his body in a giant human sphere. Ninpo, Jujin Bunshin no Jutsu, said Kiba as Akamaru transformed into a second Kiba. They then called their attack jutsu against each other. Nikuden Sunsha called Choji as the human sphere he transformed into seconds earlier began to rotate on itself and charged at Kiba and Akamaru. Getsuga the double tornado was launched in the direction of Choji as Kiba called his jutsu. As the two jutsu collided, a huge cloud of dust covered everyone's eyes. When the cloud dissipated, Choji appeared the same as before, still in his spherical form, while Kiba and Akamaru were on the ground panting and bleeding a little. Damn, his jutsu has more power than mine. I won't be able to get past him like that, analyzed the Inuzuka heir. I need to slow down his rotation power if I want a chance to defeat him, thought Kiba. Choji charged at Kiba again, but this time Kiba did not launch his Getsuga immediately. He went through hand signs and then called a new technique, Doton Doryu Taiga. A huge torrent of mud appeared in front of him as Choji charged at him. It didn't stop completely Choji's movements, but it slowed them down greatly as more and more mud were picked up by the Akimichi's air jutsu. Kiba then used Getsuga again on the weakened form of the Nikuden Sunsha, and this time he overpowered it. Choji was knocked out by the power behind the attack. Then Hade declared Kiba the winner of the last qualifying match of the preliminary rounds. Kiba made it back to his team and thanked Kurenai for helping him with Doton manipulation. After that, every contestant qualified for the finals went to get a number to determine the matchups for the finals rounds that would take place in Konoha Stadium in a month's time. When all took a number and announced it, the matchups could be seen on a screen. Match 1, Inuzuka Kiba versus Hyuga Niji. Match 2, Sabaka no Kenkuro versus Abirame Shino. Match 3, Nara Shikamaru versus Sabaka no Temari. Match 4, Uzumaki Naruto versus Sabaka no Gaara. Match 5, Uchiha Sasuke versus winner of Match 4. Every contestant took a discreet glance at his or her future opponents. Then the Sandaime dismissed them all and wished them good luck and to work hard during the month they had to train. Naruto regrouped with his team and sensei, and they finally left the forest of death. Chapter 11, Ties to the Past. Training Ground 8. The preliminary rounds of the Chunin exams just ended yesterday. Kurenai was very proud of her students. Hinata was the only one who didn't qualify for the finals, but she didn't have anything to be ashamed of. Kurenai said that even if Hinata didn't win, she fought admirably well against Niji, who was more experienced than her. Kurenai asked her team if they wanted training in any particular subject for the next month to prepare for the finals. Kiba replied that he would spend the entire month learning with his family in order to perfect the jutsu he already had. He said that after his fight with Choji, he realized that he did not master his family techniques to an acceptable level yet, leading to his Kitsuga being weaker than what it should have been. Kurenai suggested that he should come to her if he ever needed more help in his Doton chakra manipulation. Kiba happily accepted his sensei's proposal. Hinata had suffered injuries from her fight with her cousin Niji. She had to rest her body for at least a month before she would be medically allowed to resume her kunoichi duties. Kurenai nodded, then turned her head in Naruto's direction. Naruto thought about what he would work on during the break. He came to the conclusion that he needed a trump card in his arsenal if he wanted to have a chance to be able to fight the other Jinchuriki Gaara. His wind techniques might not be strong enough to overpower the sand-based jutsu of the Suna shinobi. I'm not sure yet about my training for the month, Sensei. I had plans to go meet the old man today in order to figure something out, he said to her while pointing at his stomach, where Natsuki's seal is located. Kurenai understood his sign and gave him a nod of acceptance. All right, with Kiba and Hinata going their way, we don't need to hold team meetings every day anymore for the remaining of the Chunin exams. Just come to me if you need anything, she said as she dismissed her students. Hokage office. Naruto made his way to the old man's office and entered the same way he always did, knocking the door open with his foot and shouting as he went inside. "Hey, old man, you got a minute?" asked the blonde. "Yes, Naruto, what can I do for you, my boy? Shouldn't you be training for the finals?" replied Sarutobi. Naruto explained his problems to the village leader, Gaara being a host like him, and that he didn't know what he needed to focus on in order to compete with the Suna Jinchuriki. Sarutobi thought about it for a moment before he spoke again. "As you know, your mother was chosen as a host before you because of the Uzumaki bloodline that allowed her to have some control over the Bijou. I don't know a lot about her bloodline other than it was only the female Uzumaki who could do it, but I think that the other Uzumaki should also have had some other way to defend themselves against the powers of Bijous. But there's no record left on the Uzumaki in the village Jiji. How will I be able to find anything relevant to my ancestors?" asked Naruto. Sarutobi seemed lost as well at the blonde's question. "Naruto-kun, I think I know where we could find information about the Uzumaki," said Natsuki in his mind. "Really? Where?" replied Naruto in his mind. "Do you remember Uzushi-Ogakure? It's the place where your mother came from. Even though it was destroyed in the Second Shinobi War, I'm sure you could still find something useful there," replied the vixen. Naruto's eyes widened at this. He did indeed want to visit his mother's homeland, where he hoped he could also find a way to free Natsuki from the seal. "Jiji, what about Yuza no Kuni, or more precisely what's left of it? I'm sure I could find something useful for me there, and I think that I need to visit the country where my mother was born and all my ancestors before her," asked Naruto. "I think that's a great idea, Naruto-kun. However, I can't let you go alone, and I don't have any resource left to spare since the village's forces are already under a lot of stress with the patrols and gate duties increased due to the Chunin exams." Sarutobi said to Naruto, "I can't ask Kurenai-sensei to come with me for a month-long trip outside the village. Kiba or Hinata may need her more than me during that time," thought a dejected Naruto. Sarutobi was sad that he couldn't help his adoptive grandson, but he had to stay fair. He couldn't order one of his subordinates to travel to Yuza no Kuni with Naruto without a proper reason. He thought about who he could possibly send out in an off-the-record mission, someone that would be able to leave unnoticed. That shinobi would have to be strong enough to protect Naruto, and also level-headed enough to bear Naruto's exuberant attitude. Then his eyes suddenly widened as he just found the perfect escort for Naruto. "Yes, I think it is highly time that those two meet." He thought, "Naruto, I may have someone who could go with you to Yuza no Kuni. He is also strong enough to supervise your training while you try to find traces of your ancestors." Sarutobi said with a smile on his face. "Who is it, Jiji?" "I thought you said everyone was busy at the moment," asked Naruto. "Well, he is not exactly under my direct command, and he has free travel rights, so he isn't required to stay to protect the village at all time. It just happened that he came back this morning," replied the old man. "Here, you will find him at this address. Give him this letter, and he will understand the situation," added Sarutobi as he handed a letter with his seal on it to Naruto. "Thank you, Jiji. I'll see you in a month," replied Naruto, and with that he left the office to go find that mysterious man. Konoha's onsen. Naruto made it to the bathhouse, wondering why Sarutobi knew this mysterious man would be here. He was also surprised when the old man didn't want to reveal this man's identity, saying that it would be better if the man properly introduced himself. He was about to enter when he heard strange noises from the side of the building. As he went around, he saw a man inside a tall tree looking down into the bathing area. The man was giggling and taking notes inside a small handbook at the same time. Naruto couldn't see his face as the man was hiding pretty high in that tree, and only the giggling and scratching were proof of his presence. If there was something that Naruto inherited from Kurenai, it was the hate of perverts. He was thinking of the best way to punish this pervert, then mentally called a jutsu. Futon. Furious to no jutsu, Naruto silently launched his jutsu against the tree the pervert was hiding in. The wind dragon slashed through the tree in its midsection, bending the upper section just in the right angle for the unsuspecting pervert to fall into the bathing area on the women's side. Seems like the ladies inside did not take too kindly to be disturbed and peeked during their relaxation time. The pervert must have got the beating of his life if what Naruto heard from the other side of the wall was correct. Satisfied with his work, Naruto decided to go inside, in the men area of course, and find this instructor. According to his Gigi, the man had long white hairs and strange red markings on his face. He was about to enter the men's locker room when he saw the pervert getting out of the women area, beaten and hurt but nothing too harsh. Then his eyes widened, long white hairs, those red lines on his face. Oh my God, he's the one Gigi was talking about, thought Naruto as he observed the man. Hey, pervert, did you enjoy the beating? Asked Naruto. So that was you, yelled the man as he charged at Naruto, but Naruto just stood there and lifted the letter with a Hokage seal in his hand. The approaching man stopped in his tracks and took the letter. His eyes widened as he read the letter, taking short glances at Naruto from time to time. So that's Minato's and Kushina's kid. Sensei is finally letting me take him out of the village. This should be fun, he thought in his mind before giving back the letter to Naruto. Then his face's expression suddenly changed and turned from lecherous and perverted into a serious one as he spoke to the young boy in front of him. Okay, I understand your situation, and I'll go with you on your trip, he said. I don't see why the old man would choose a pervert like you to be my escort, much less the instructor to supervise my training for the month to come, replied Naruto. Follow me outside. You'll understand soon enough, replied the pervert. Naruto gave him a nod and they left the bathhouse. Then the man took Naruto to the closest empty training ground. Training Ground 17. They reached the center of the field, and the man motioned for Naruto to sit down, and he did the same after making sure that no one was around for the upcoming conversation. All right, let me introduce myself first. I'm Jiraiya of the Chunin, and I was a student under the Sandaime. I'm in charge of Konoha's spy network, so that's why I'm almost never inside the village, said the now identified Jiraiya. That's also the reason why I couldn't look after you before now, he added in his mind. Naruto's eyes widened as he recognized the name. Jiraiya is one of the best, if not the best, shinobi of the Leaf right now. He, along with two others, was in the team trained by Gigi a long time ago. It was said in the book he read about them that each of them could fight an entire army by themselves. And you know about my reason to go there? Asked Naruto, scared that this man would hold a grudge against him for holding Natsuki in him. Yes, the Hokage explained the situation in his letter, that you would face the Tsunade Jinchuriki in the finals. I also know about your burden, replied Jiraiya. Naruto smiled. He found another person who did not hate him for having Natsuki sealed in him. He was a little weird and a big-time pervert, but he was strong and seemed reliable too. Deciding to follow his instincts, he made his decision. I would be honored to have you supervise my training for the month to come, and I thank you for accepting to come with me to find my mother's homeland, said the young blonde as he bowed to the Chunin. All right, drop the formalities. Pack your things, we leave tomorrow morning at dawn, said Jiraiya as he stood up. Okay, Arrow Sennin. See you tomorrow, replied Naruto as he shunshined out of the area. Jiraiya almost fell back when he heard the nickname, but smiled as he too left the clearing. Time skip. 1 week later. It took them 1 week to finally reach Yuzu no Kuni. The fastest way was to walk back to Wave before taking a boat in order to reach the ruins of the ancient civilization of Whirlpool Country. They were currently on the boat, and the island of Yuzu was in sight. During their traveling time, Jiraiya had evaluated Naruto's level of skill in all the ninja arts. He had come to the same conclusion as Kurenai and her friends. Naruto was currently at high Chunin level at least, and Tokubetsu Jonin at most. Jiraiya knew Kurenai would work on Naruto's genjutsu issues later, so he decided to improve the boy's basic chakra control. He was astonished at Naruto's control over the wind element, and accepted to help the boy in his test to counter every elemental techniques thrown at him, since Jiraiya was able to use all 5 elemental elements. He also started to teach Naruto the basics in the art of Fuinjutsu. He's talented. It reminds me so much of Minato, sometimes it hurts, thought the old hermit. Naruto was currently working with a water balloon. Jiraiya said that he needed to make the balloon pop using pure chakra only, no wind allowed. He had started the exercise yesterday. He was making good progress, and understood that he needed to spin the water inside the balloon in such a way that it would pop. I wonder what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I should work on the path of the water inside the balloon again, wondered the blonde. Both teacher and student were pulled out of their musing when the boat finally reached the coast. They agreed with the captain of the boat to meet again at the same place in 2 weeks. It would give them just enough time to go back to Konoha. Okay, here's how we will work for the next 2 weeks. You will train with me every day from dawn to approximately 5 p.m., then you will be free to explore and do whatever you want from there, announced Jiraiya, and Naruto nodded to him. 2 days after their arrival, Naruto finally managed to pop the water balloon using only chakra. Jiraiya then made him start a harder exercise. This time he had to pop a rubber ball with his chakra. In the meantime, Naruto had started exploring the island. So far he didn't find anything interesting. Nature and time had already erased most trace of the ancient village of Whirlpool. He remembered asking Natsuki if she knew anything, but was disappointed by her answer. Flashback. 2 days ago. All right, training is done for today. Do you know where I should start to search for my mother's ancient village, Nachan? Asked Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. Unlike with you, I didn't interact a lot with your mother. The sealing technique seems different too. I wasn't able to access her senses from inside her seal the same way I can with yours. I didn't have access to her memories either. All I know about her is what she told me on the rare occasions she visited her mindscape, replied Natsuki. It's okay, Nachan. I'm sure we'll figure out something. I still have 2 weeks left, and I could always come back later. Naruto said. End of flashback. 2 days later, Naruto succeeded in blowing up the rubber ball, using his chakra. The key this time was to concentrate his chakra while applying what he learned from the first stage. His search through his mother's hometown ruins also progressed, as he was able to find the buried entrance of what must have been the Yuzukage Tower, considering the huge whirlpool sign at the entrance. He managed to clear the entrance of the rubble blocking it with the help of several Kage Bunshins. Once inside, he came to a dead end. The door in front of him had a strange red seal on it. That's a blood seal, Naruto-kun. Most likely only one with Uzumaki blood can go through this door. You have to apply some of your blood on the seal, and the door will open, said Natsuki in his mind. He did as instructed, and the door opened. Inside the building, most of the rooms had collapsed. He only found another room which seemingly resisted the last war. The door to that room was once again protected by a blood seal. This room must have been a library of sort. Most of the books were old and barely readable. In the center of the room stood a strange shrine. On top of it was a scroll with the same blood seal Naruto already saw on the doors from earlier. He opened the scroll, unlocking it with his blood, and his eyes widened at what he read. If you are reading this, then that means that you are most likely the last Uzumaki remaining in this world. Kiri, Kyumo, and IW had launched a surprise attack on our village, and we did not have the time to call for the help of our allies of the Leaf before they completely surrounded our lands. Even with our best effort, we could not hold off an enemy outnumbering us 10-1. We have lost most of our men trying to defend the main gate of the village, But it also fell this morning, and now I'm one of the last standing. In this scroll I have sealed our two most precious treasures. First is the Uzumaki Scroll of Seals. It contains most of our works on Fuinjutsu. Next is our sacred summoning scroll to our loyal allies of old time, the dragons. Be warned that only an Uzumaki can be accepted as a summoner for the dragons, as anyone else who tries to bond with them shall die in insufferable pain. I have sealed these hoping that someone from our blood survived this attack, and one day he or she would show the world that the Uzumaki are still alive and take our place back as one of the most powerful clan. Good luck from Uzumaki Kazuma, the last Yuzakage of Whirlpool. Naruto decided to wait before going through the Fuinjutsu scroll, since he only started to learn the basics with Jiraiya on it. It was nevertheless a gold mine for his future research on how to free Natsuki from the seal. He unsealed the dragon summoning contract and followed the instructions from the scroll, and Natsuki to sign his name on it. Once done, he felt a weird sensation in his body as he was teleported from his current position to a strange place. Summoning World. It seemed he was on top of a mountain. He couldn't even see the ground from where he was. He was suddenly pulled out of his musing when a huge black dragon came out of nowhere. Who dares to use our old contract with the Uzumaki royal family to come to this sacred place? Roared the creature as it landed in front of Naruto. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I found the scroll inside the ruins of the ancient village of Whirlpool, answered the blonde. Uzumaki, you say? Be warned that you will die if you lied to me. Now come here and pass the test to prove your worth, said the dragon. As Naruto approached him, the dragon suddenly lashed at him and bit him on his forearm. Naruto winced at the pain but chose to stay calm, as this was most likely part of the test. You have indeed the blood of our loyal friends the Uzumaki flowing through your veins. You may call me Ryu. I am the leader of the dragon family. We will answer to your call each time you ask for us, Uzumaki Naruto, said the Dragon King as he bowed to his new summoner. It is my honor to unite once more the Uzumaki clan to our old allies the dragons, replied Naruto with a bow too. I will see you soon, young hatchling, said Ryu as he unsummoned Naruto back to his original position inside the ruins of Whirlpool. Back in Yuzu, Naruto reappeared in the sealed room. He noticed a tattoo with the form of a dragon on his left forearm, where Ryu bit him. The scroll said it was a sign of the dragon summoner. From now on, Naruto just needed to spread some blood on it, and he could summon dragons. Having found what he looked for, he left the ruins and joined Jiraiya back at their camp. He spent the remaining days they had on the island to master the last chakra exercise Jiraiya was making him perform. Turns out those exercises were the key parts in mastering a technique invented by the fourth Hokage called the Rasengan, and Naruto managed to learn it in only 2 weeks. When it was finally the moment to leave the island, Naruto couldn't help but feel a little sad to leave behind the only place in the world where he could feel some sort of bond to his long-lost clan. Time skip. 1 week later, they were finally back in front of the gates of Konoha, just for the day of the finals. Chapter 12. Finals. Konoha Stadium. Public zone. Every seat in the stadium was occupied. It seemed that every ninja of the Leaf not busy with patrol rounds or gate duty had come to see the Chunin exam finals on this day. Of course, there were lots of civilians too, curious to see the most promising generation of Genin the Leaf has ever produced since the legendary Sannin. Mixed in the crowd could be seen the remaining members of the Rookies 9+ team guy who did not qualify for the finals: Sakura, Hinata, Tenten, Lee, Ino, and Choji with their sensei Kakashi, Kurenai, Guy, and Asuma. All were waiting for the match to start, watching the giant screen, which was displaying the matchup for the upcoming match. Arena. In the center of the arena stood the contestants who won their preliminary match, and a new referee in the name of Shiranui Gunma. There was a question in the mind of everyone, though. Where the hell is Naruto? Indeed, the young blonde had yet to arrive. A good thing that his match against Gaara was scheduled last. Even Uchiha Sasuke, who had been training the whole month with Kakashi, had arrived earlier than expected, Kakashi saying something about not wanting to experience the joys of gate duty again. They all turned their head in the direction of the Kage box. Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to make a speech for the opening ceremony of the Chunin exam finals. Kage box! The Sandame stood in the Kage box. The Kazekage had also come to watch his ninja compete in the finals. He wore his Kage robe and had a veil that hides his whole face except his eyes. Each of them had 2 bodyguards. After his introduction speech, Sarutobi gave the signal for the first match to begin under the roar of the crowd. Arena. Okay, you know the drill. Everyone except Inuzuka Kiba and Hyuga Niji please leave the arena and go to the waiting room upstairs, said Genma. As they all left for the waiting room, Genma explained the rules to the first contestants, basically the same rules from the preliminary part applied. Winner by forfeit, referee decision, losing consciousness, or death. After receiving confirmation from both sides that they understood, Genma authorized the match to begin. Inuzuka Kiba versus Hyuga Niji. As Genma launched the match, Niji immediately activated his bloodline. Byakugan, he said as he fell into the Jukin Taijutsu stance. Kiba went through hand signs and Akameru changed into a second Kiba, Ninpo. Junjin Bunshin said the Inuzuka heir as his familiar henge into a perfect copy of himself. You will pay for hurting Hinata-chan, said Kiba. How typical of a loser to seek comfort and revenge from another loser. But today your fate is sealed. You will lose against me, replied Niji. Seeing that Niji was not about to move and simply waited, Kiba decided to launch the first attack, to gauge his opponent's defensive ability. Getsuga, he yelled as a double tornado created from his and Akameru's movements made its way towards the Hyuga prodigy. Niji waited for the last moment until he launched his counter. Hakusho Kaden, he said as he expelled chakra from every tenketsu on his body, forming a perfect sphere of chakra as his body was in a repetitive rotation move. Kiba once again experienced his trademark jutsu being countered, the memories of his match against Choji still vivid in his mind. He decided to try the same strategy he used against Choji and launched another jutsu. Doton, Doryu Taiga, he said as a torrent of mud appeared in the area, covering most of the ground and especially the ground beneath Niji's feet. Kiba then launched another Getsuga with Akameru still, following him in Niji's direction. Niji waited the last moment again before using his Katen, and Kiba was countered just like the first time. He could even tell that his mud did not slow the Hyuga down one bit. Is that all you can do, loser? You will never get through my absolute defense, taunted Niji. Or did you thought that your ridiculous plan from the preliminary match would work against me? I can perform my Katen no matter how the ground is. I could even do it while jumping, added the prodigy. I've lost enough time and chakra with you. My turn to attack now. You're in my circle of divination, Niji said calmly. Jukenho Hakro Kujiyanshu, as Niji called his technique, he was already in front of the first Kiba, who moved directly in his path. Niji then launched a barrage of Juken attacks, effectively closing most of the first Kiba's tenketsus. Turns out this Kiba was a Henge Akameru, as he dispelled himself at the end of Niji's terrifying attack. Kiba could only watch from his place as his companion sacrificed himself to prevent his master from losing the match. Kiba gritted his teeth in anger and chose to not let his companion's sacrifice go to a waste. I'll have to use it. It's all or nothing at this point, he thought as he prepared his next jutsu. Kiba then ran towards Niji and dropped a smoke bomb at his feet. I can see through your smoke, fool, said Niji as he prepared another Katen. Getsugum, yelled Kiba as he started his rotation move. As Niji activated his absolute defense, Kiba suddenly dispelled his jutsu, then still airborne, started to do new hand signs. Doton. Kuka no jutsu, he said as his body turned into stone, and he went right into Niji's Katen. This time Kiba was not pushed back by the Hyuga's defense, and as the rotation ended, the two opponents were still close to each other. Kiba was still standing, and had his arms crossed in front of his chest in a protective guard stance. Before Niji could move, Kiba moved his guard up to protect his face, and what Niji saw on the Inuzuka's chest made him widen his eyes. Hinata in the stands, with her Byakugan activated, understood Kiba's plan, and tried to tell him to stop Kibakuin, No, don't do this. I'm sorry, Hinata-chan, thought Kiba as the exploding tag he had planted on his chest detonated. This time, Kiba went down. Even with his stone body enhancement jutsu activated, he took the full blast of the explosion point blank. His body jutsu had been dispelled, and he was bleeding from several spots. Niji wasn't doing really better. Even though he was a little further from the blast, he didn't have the time to activate his Kaden again. He was also bleeding profusely and couldn't stand up. Gunma, seeing that no contestant could stand up, was about to call the match and declare a draw, but he was stopped as Kiba slowly went back up. He then walked towards the still down Niji. I may be a loser, but Hinata-chan isn't. During your fight, she could have easily ended your pathetic ass if she wanted with a single hand sign, but she didn't. I know all about your family. Hinata-chan chose to fight you fairly, and you disrespected her by your actions and your words. He said, You say that fate determines everything in life, so wasn't it your fate to lose when you had to go against a main house member? He continued, and Niji still couldn't move. Gunma was about to declare Kiba the winner when the Inuzuka surprised everyone in the stadium. Proctor, I forfeit. My companion is severely hurt, so I won't be able to fight properly anyway in the next match, said Kiba as he took Akamaru's body in his arms and left the arena. Winner by forfeit, Hyuga Niji. Announced Gunma as the doctors came to help Niji. Hyuga Hayashi, seeing his nephew being transported to the infirmary, decided to have a long conversation with him about some family secrets. He thought it was time for the young boy to know about his father's sacrifice and how he too fought against his fate at the end of his life. He hoped it wasn't too late to help Niji realize that fate doesn't control everything in life. After 5 minutes of recess, Gunma called the next match. Sabaka no Kenkuro and Aburame Shino. Please proceed to the center of the arena, please. Proctor, I forfeit, suddenly said Kankuro. There's no way I would reveal my hand right now. We need to follow the plan, and for that Gaara has to be the one who fight first, thought the Tsunade. Winner by forfeit, Aburame Shino, announced Gunma. The crowd was getting nervous, so, to not get too suspicious, Temari decided to take action and leaped over the fence of the waiting area to descend into the arena. She landed right next to Gunma. I think it's my turn, said the Suna Kunoichi. Nara Shikamaru, get your ass over here, commanded Gunma. Shikamaru was really close to forfeit since he didn't really want to fight in the first place, and he considered very troublesome that the blonde Suna Kunoichi seemed really eager to start. Then the faces of his teammate Yamanaka Ino and his mother scolding him for being a lazy bum flashed in his mind. Deciding that he'd rather get his ass kicked by the blonde woman down there than by his mother or Ino, he slowly made his way to the arena. Nara Shikamaru versus Sabaka no Temari. As soon as the two fighters were ready, Gunma launched the match. The fight was clearly a different type than the first one. When the first fight was a confrontation of power and speed, this one was a game of intelligence and patience. Both ninja were skilled strategists, and both knew of their opponent's offensive capability. Temari remembered her opponent's Kage-main no Jutsu from his match against the Oto Kunoichi, and Shikamaru remembered his opponent's wind Jutsu associated to her fan, and especially the Kamaitachi no Jutsu. Both tried to read the other one's Jutsu reach and use the arena's ground to their advantage in doing so. As Shikamaru finally succeeded in capturing Temari in his shadow manipulation Jutsu, he realized that his chakra reserves were critically low and tried to think of a new plan to get out of that situation. Unfortunately, he ran out of time and was forced to forfeit as he used most of his chakra. The winner for the third match is Sabaka no Temari, declared Gunma. The next match will start in 5 minutes, he said as Temari and Shikamaru were leaving the arena. Sabaka no Gaara versus Uzumaki Naruto. When the time for the fourth match to start came, only Gunma and Gaara were in the arena. People were starting to wonder where Naruto was, and Sarutobi allowed a 5 minutes extended time for Naruto to arrive or be disqualified. There was only 5 seconds left remaining when the wind suddenly picked up. Soon a giant tornado appeared in the middle of the arena. Seconds later, as the wind finally vanished, Naruto could be seen standing where the giant tornado was just a moment ago. Jiraiya took this opportunity to Shunshin, just behind Sarutobi, at the same time. "I trust that Naruto is ready, Jiraiya," asked the Sandame. "Of course he is. Who do you think trained him, Sensei?" replied the hermit before taking a look at his student. "I'm not late, am I?" asked Naruto with a grin. "You're right on time, Naruto," replied Genma with a smirk as he motioned for the match to start. "Get ready, Narukuen. This will be the hardest one you had to fight until now. Even harder than against Sabuza." Natsuki told him. "I know Nachan," replied Naruto as he fell into his Kitsune Taijutsu stance. "Kaze no Yor," called Naruto in his mind as wind chakra flowed through his body. Gaara just stood silent as a cloud of sand started to get out of his gourd. Then he suddenly pointed his arm in Naruto's direction and called his first jutsu. "Sabaka Q," he said as a wall of sand made its way towards Naruto. Futon. Fury to no jutsu, Naruto used to counter the sand mass aimed at him. The two attack collided in an explosion of sand. Naruto didn't lose time, as he immediately called his next jutsu, already going through hand signs. Futon. Tsubame Geishi. This time a wave of steel composed by dozens of kunai made its way around Gaara, then randomly changed its path to point at the back of the Suna shinobi. Gaara didn't even blink, as all the sand which was blown away by Naruto's attack just seconds ago moved back behind him to intercept the incoming bird of steel. Naruto's attack was not able to break through Gaara's defense, and his shadow kunai were all blocked and dispelled, only leaving the two true kunai Naruto used for his jutsu embedded in the ground behind Gaara. Spectators. Everyone in the stadium was stunned at the display of all those high-level techniques. What was even more surprising is that except for those who saw the preliminary fights, no one ever saw any of those jutsu. The blonde was throwing high-level wind jutsu, while the redhead used weird sand jutsu, and neither of them seemed to need hand signs to perform them. Sasuke, who had been waiting for his turn, seething at not being able to copy any of those jutsu with his Sharingan. Arena. Gaara decided to attack again as he charged chakra and launched another Sabaka Q at Naruto. This one, though, had a lot more chakra. The wave of sand approached Naruto with twice the speed it had during the first time, forcing the blonde to reveal his true speed as he evaded every tendrils of sand aimed at him and reappeared on the other side of the stadium in Gaara's back. Naruto took out two more kunai and coated them with wind chakra, Futon. Futego Kaze Ken no Jutsu, he called in his mind. He then used his Kitsune Yurei no Jutsu high-speed illusion movement as he charged at Gaara, leaving 4 trails of afterimages. Not able to detect which phantom approaching was a fake, Gaara's automatic defense was not able to block Naruto's attack this time. Naruto's attack managed to connect with Gaara's shoulder, drawing the first blood of the match. The whole Suna delegation was shocked that someone was finally able to injure their weapon. Said weapon was the most shocked of them, as he never experienced the feeling of losing his own blood due to an injury. Gaara managed to force Naruto to fall back and drop his 2 kunai, as his Sabaka Q was a lot faster when used in close range. He then recalled all his sand and with a single hand sign gave his sand the form of a sphere around him, recovering him completely. A smaller orb of sand started to gather higher in the sky and soon took the form of an eye. Daisen no Mi could be heard from within the sand sphere. Naruto had only a few seconds to stare at the strange eye floating in the air when another jutsu was called from inside the sphere, Suna's Shuriken. A barrage of sand missiles were launched from the sand structure and aimed directly at Naruto, who could only dodge while running around. Naruto understood how his opponent's combo worked and was impressed. Gaara increased his overall defense after being hit by the Kitsune Yurei, combined to the Kaze-ken, by creating a full sphere of solid sand around him, and overcame the drawback of not being able to see outside by having that third eye jutsu spying on the battlefield for him. Those Suna's shuriken were no laughing matter either. Being less heavy and more dense than a regular shuriken, their speed was faster and their power stronger. Naruto tried his combo again as he charged another Kitsune Yurei with 2 new Kaze-ken. However, this time the 3 illusions went through the sand sphere with no reaction from it, and the structure only reacted to the real Naruto and sent tendrils of sand in his path. As he was countered, Naruto received a deep injury in his right shoulder and started to bleed from there. He decided to fall back to the other end of the arena in order to think about his next move. His new defense is truly something. The sand in it is a lot more dense than what he showed me earlier, and I won't be able to pierce it with any of my wind jutsu. A Rasengan wouldn't work either. As long as he has that sand around him, I can't get close. Enko-sensei was right. I didn't even notice his counter before it was already too late. I will only try the Rasengan if I manage to get past his defense first. I need something to get rid of that sand. Now for the nature of sand. His eyes widened as he finally found a way. He used some blood that was coming from his shoulder injury to coat his thumb with it, then applied it to his tattoo on his forearm. He then went through hand signs and called his jutsu, Ninpo, Kuchios no Jutsu, and pushed his hands on the ground where a puff of smoke appeared. Out of the smoke flew out a huge red dragon, with Naruto on its back. It had 4 muscular limbs and very large wings. In the stands, everyone was shocked at the sight of the mystical beast. Sarutobi looked at Jiraiya and asked Jiraiya, where the hell did he get a dragon summoning contract? He found it during our training. You know, where one day he came back with a tattoo and the scroll. I was so shocked I couldn't make him the next Toad Sage that I didn't even insist on knowing more. You'll have to ask him for details, replied the hermit, looking back towards Naruto. I am Hiryu, a fire dragon. How may I be of assistance, Naruto-sama? Asked the winged creature to its summoner. I need you to launch your most powerful fireball in that mass of sand in the center of the arena, Hiryu, said Naruto. It shall be done at your command, Naruto-sama, replied the dragon as it was ready to fire. As they flew right above the sand sphere, Naruto gave his summon the signal to fire and launched his own jutsu, Futon. Tenka, Furyu, and Dan he called as his wind dragon combined to Hiryu's fireball to form a gigantic blazing dragon of chakra. The jutsu hit the sand dome, covering the whole stadium with smoke. As the smoke cleared out, instead of a dome of sand stood a dome of glass. The more experienced ninja in the crowd understood Naruto's objective and had to applaud his plan. He used science and the reaction of sand turning into glass when heated at high temperature. Naruto jumped out of his dragon and dispelled it, then landed right in front of the glass structure. He then charged another jutsu that shocked everyone knowing its creator. Rasengan, he said, as an orb of visible chakra appeared in his right hand. He slammed it into the dome and went right through it, taking the shocked Gaara by surprise. The ball of chakra expanded, then left Naruto's hand and continued its path towards the arena's wall, dragging along a screaming and bleeding Gaara. When the jutsu dissipated, an unconscious Gaara laid with his back to the wall. Chapter 13, Clash of the Titans. Konoha Stadium Arena. Naruto looked at what his jutsu just did. Sure, he remembered his training and performing it against large trees or rocks, but this was the first time he used Rasengan against another human being. The result was astonishing and terrifying at the same time. He knew he could have put more chakra in the orb before releasing it. The result would have been him tearing a hole inside of his opponent's body instead of just scratching him. He stood there in the middle of the arena, lost in his thoughts and trying to catch his breath. Spectators' seats. Most of the spectators were stunned to see the Rasengan again. That was one of the 2 signature moves of the Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato. Few of them knew Jiraiya could also use it, but the old pervert was almost never in Konoha. The rare times he was there, the hermit just visited the Sandaime or went to the red light district. How the hell did Naruto learn Minato-sensei's jutsu, thought Kakashi. What is that jutsu? I couldn't copy it either. How did he progress so much in only a month? Is Kakashi the right sensei for me? What have I been doing all this time? Were the questions flashing through Sasuke's mind? Kushina-sensei would have been so proud of you, Naruto. Show them all your true worth. Thought Kurenai with pride, looking at her sensei's son. Arena, seeing the unmoving form of Gaara. Gunma was about to end the match and announce Naruto as the winner when an explosion of chakra shook the whole stadium. A thick cloud of dust and sand preventing anyone from seeing what was happening in the arena. So it has finally come to this. thought Naruto, looking in the direction of the demonic chakra leaking inside the arena. The real fight starts now, Naruto. Be careful and remember the techniques you learned, said Natsuki. When the dust settled down, Gaara's new form appeared in front of everyone. He looked like a chimera, a mix between including his old body, some overgrown sand armor, and some bestial features, as could be seen a tail behind his back and his two pointy ears. I'm free after so long. The boy is finally asleep, roared the beast. How unpleasant to finally meet you, Shikaku, answered Naruto as he took off his protection vest and teared his right hand sleeve, revealing a strange tattoo in the form of a fox on his right biceps. Remember, you only control one of my tail. So far, Naruto, warned Natsuki as she knew Naruto was about to unleash her powers. I know, Nachan. This Yuki storage seal only contains one tail worth of your Yuki so far. I'll have to read the Uzumaki scroll again to know how to boost its storage capacity up, replied Naruto as he spread some of his blood over his fox tattoo. Once done, another surge of chakra resonated in the arena. This time Naruto was the cause. The activation of his seal, or deactivation depending on how you see it, managed to fuse on tail worth of Natsuki's power to his own. His eyes were blood red instead of his natural blue ones, and he had an aura of visible red chakra surrounding his whole body. Kage box! Sarutobi's eyes widened at the display of power in the arena. He then turned to his old student and started to whisper. Jiraiya, what was the seal he released just before that second chakra surge? And is it demonic chakra, I feel? Asked the Sandaime to his student. Yes, that's a seal we came up with together. While going through the scroll he found on his family's Fuinjutsu. It allows him to store demonic chakra, or Yuki as he calls it, for future use. Furthermore, it is completely harmless for his body, since it doesn't come directly from the fox, but has been filtered through that special purification seal, replied the Gamma Sunin to his sensei. The Kaza, who was of course out of hearing range from the previous conversation, was seething at what he saw. First, the arrival of the Gamma Sunin. He knew he could deal with Sarutobi, but Jiraiya's arrival changed everything. Then his trump card in destabilizing Konoha's forces, the Ichibi, was being pushed around by a mere genin. Finally, it turns out that mere genin was most likely the host for the Kyuubi no Yoko and seemed to have some control over his demonic powers. Very unlike Gaara. The most logical decision right there was to cancel the invasion and discreetly pull back all his pawns before being discovered and loosing the element of surprise. His spies in the stadium were still waiting for his signal to launch the operation, but he decided to wait a little more before making a decision. Shikaka decided to attack first. He took a deep breath and filled his lungs with air, then violently expelled it while calling his jutsu futon. Rinkuden, a huge mass of pressurized air, went in Naruto's direction. With his chakra reserves to the max again, Naruto decided to use one of his more chakra-taxing counter as he charged wind chakra to his hands and slammed them to the ground while calling the jutsu in his mind futon, Higuma o Toshi. This was the same move he used against Zabuza's water dragon in Wave Country. Naruto was shielded from Shikaku's missile behind his wind wall. The mass of condensed air just impacted the rising wind column Naruto made without dealing any damage. This angered Shikaku, not liking the sight of his jutsu being easily countered. Launched the same attack again. Only this time, instead of one air cannonball, he used 3 of them. Naruto looked at the sky, smirking as he saw a huge dark cloud forming above them as he continued to absorb every air missile the Ichibi was throwing at him and redirecting them into the sky. Naruto then took out a special-looking kunai and threw it in the direction of the raccoon hybrid, going through hand signs as the kunai left his hand. Only a few in the crowd recognized the sequence of hand signs he did. To the others it looked vaguely familiar. As he entered the last hand sign, Naruto called his jutsu out loud, Futon Hokage. Uzumaki Naruto, I don't know what you're trying to do, but that jutsu of yours won't be able to pierce my defense. I was aware of my surroundings when you were fighting the boy, so even if your kunai reached my back with that strange technique, it won't damage me, said the Ichibi. True to his words, The kunai first divided itself in a dozen of kunai. Then they all changed their course and went to target his back like he saw when Naruto first used the Tsubame Geishi. He didn't even feel the need to raise some kind of defense to intercept the incoming kunai. To his surprise, though, as they were close to hitting him, he could clearly see that those kunai weren't regular kunai. They all had exploding tags attached to them, and they were all ready to blow. Before he could react, the exploding tags all detonated, creating a huge flame that, combined with Naruto's original wind attack, looked like a bird of fire. The fire predator impacted Shikaku in his back. The roar and cries of agony from the beast sent chills down everyone's spine in the stadium, as large flames were surrounding its body. Naruto then used his speed to appear behind him and sent a powerful kick to the back of its head, forcibly sending him in the center of the arena. He then did a single hand sign, and the four kunai he seemingly accidentally dropped to the ground during the first part of the fight started to glow, revealing that they were actually placed in a perfect square position all around the Ichibi. Uzumaki Hijitsu, Akumasokoku Wana, called Naruto as his trap, was activated and four dark chains went out of the ground, and each went to tightly restrain one of the beast's limb. Shikaku, with a large part of his body still lit on fire, tried to force his way out of the chains, but felt his strength being rapidly drained away, most likely by those chains. Naruto then channeled wind to his hands again and called his next jutsu, Futon, Kira no Toshi, as he slammed his hands on the ground just in front of his opponent's feet. A new column of air rose from the ground, with the still restrained and burning Shikaku as its base and the large dark cloud as its top. Seconds later, a large thunderbolt left the cloud and fell directly on the trapped demon, using the conductive chains as an entry point, then dispersing into the ground. The energy behind Naruto's last attack was high enough to literally melt the Ichibi's guard, turning the Tsunade no Yoro, recovering most of its body into glass, then shattering it into pieces, also taking away the chains and kunai that served to trap it. The jutsu was covered by a blinding white light. When everyone's eyes started to recover from the blinding flash, all they saw in the arena was an unconscious Gaara on the floor. Gone were the extra appendages of sand on his body. Gone was all trace of demonic chakra coming from him as well. Naruto was standing a few feet away, his aura of chakra also dispelled, and he had recovered his deep blue eyes again. He looked slightly tired but did not seem hurt, his injury from the first part of the match against Gaara already healed. Gunma, who had taken refuge in a corner of the arena, made his way back to the center of the arena. He crouched down to check on the status of the Suna shinobi. He was able to feel a pulse from the young redhead and let sigh escape his mouth as he stood up and looked at the audience. Everyone in the stadium was silent, waiting for the referee's announcement. You could hear the wind blow and several noises from outside the walls of the stadium, and the silence was starting to get heavy when Gunma finally decided to speak. Sabaka no Gaara is unconscious and consequently unable to continue the fight. The winner of the fight is Uzumaki Naruto, winner by knockout, finally said the bandana-wearing referee. After a few more seconds of silence, suddenly all hell broke loose as the entire stadium was on its feet, applauding for one Uzumaki Naruto. The pariah of the Leaf stood there in the center of the arena, not knowing how to react to the cheers, admiration looks, and cries of joy he saw and heard in the crowd. Spectators' seats. Kiba and Hinata, who had come back just before the last attack, were happy for their teammate and clapping their hands like everyone around them. Kurenai was proud of her student and found funny that he didn't know how to react in that situation. The other students were stunned at the level of skill displayed by their fellow genin comrade. Several Chunin and Jonin made comments about Naruto's growth and how he seemed in full control of the Kyuubi's powers during his fight. They could see firsthand the difference between a host controlled by his beast in the image of Gaara and one who had the control over his inner demon looking at Naruto. The several foreign ninja who came to watch the match, while impressed by the fight, just like everybody around them, also noted in a corner of their mind to speak with their leader about this really talented, though extremely dangerous new talent the Leaf had, for future reference. The shallow civilians who had hated Naruto for most of his life now looked up to him and cheered for him as if they were long friends. Kage box. In the Kage box, the reactions were mixed. The Kaza Kage was silent. Damn it. With Gaara out of the picture, I can forget about the invasion. It was already looking bad with the addition of Jiraiya, but now I just lost my trump card. He thought, I have no choice. I'll have to call it off, mused the masked Kage as he made a discreet sign to someone in the spectators area. At the same time, Sarutobi and Jiraiya were celebrating for the young blonde. It reminds you of another certain blonde-haired blue-eyed boy Jiraiya, doesn't it? Asked Sarutobi to his student. Yes, sensei, it certainly does, replied the Toad Sage before adding, I can't believe he went that far in only a month. I taught him the Rasengan in only 2 weeks. It took me months to master that. I only taught him the basics in Fuinjutsu, and he was able to create such an intricate trap based on them in the middle of a damn match. Are you disappointed that he will not take over you as the next Toad Sage now that he is the summoner of the legendary contract of the dragons? Asked the Sandame. I would lie if I said that it doesn't affect me, but I know that I can't request anything from him. After all, I'm his godfather, and I was never there for him when he needed me, said a serious Jiraiya. You had no choice in the matter. We both know he would have faced the same or worse dangers if he went with you during your travels, said Sarutobi as he continued with a subject he had wanted to talk about with Jiraiya for a long time already. We will have to tell him the truth about his father soon, Jiraiya. I know, sensei. Let's wait for the end of the tournament, replied the Sennin. He makes a good Chunin, don't you think? Asked the old Kage. He sure does, said Jiraiya with pride in his voice. Arena. Since Uzumaki Naruto has to fight again, it is only fair to have a break now. The finals will resume in 1 hour. Called Gunma, as Naruto was granted a 1-hour pause. The crowd also used that time to go refresh themselves, eat and rest from the mentally exhausting match they just saw. When the time was over, everyone was back in their seat. Naruto stood in the center of the arena. He had go home to change his clothes and took a rapid meal at the Ichiraku ramen bar on the way. Gunma was also there, but Sasuke was still nowhere to be found. Chapter 14, Respect and Fear. Konoha Stadium Arena. Naruto was waiting for his next match to start. The break allowed him to replenish some of the chakra he used during his fight against Gaara, but it was still nowhere near his full potential. Thinking about the other Jinchuuriki made him remember the words they shared after the redhead finally woke up. Flashback. Stadium entrance. 20 minutes ago. After coming back from the break, Naruto had met the Hokage on his way to the contestants' waiting area. There you are, Naruto-kun. That was a great performance earlier, said Sarutobi to his surrogate grandson. Thanks, Gigi. It's all thanks to the training I went through last month. Ero Sennin may seem lazy sometimes, but during training, he's a real slave driver, replied Naruto. The Sandame chuckled at the nickname Naruto gave to his old student. After all, if even he, the shinobi no Kami, could not get the boy to call him by a respectful name, there was no way he would accept that Naruto calls Jiraiya by a formal name. Well, it's all good, but I came here to tell you personally that in order to continue the tournament, I want you to check in at the infirmary to see if everything is all right first. You had an incredibly hard fight just an hour ago, announced the old man. But I'm perfectly fine, Gigi, replied Naruto. Due to his traumatic childhood experiences, he never liked hospitals, doctors, or nurses. It's all right, Naruto. I selected the staff myself. They all moved in Konoha recently and hold no grudge against you for your burden, said Sarutobi. Fine, I'll go, but I tell you I'm fine, replied Naruto as he made his way to the infirmary. As he went inside, he was surprised to see Gaara in one of the bed. The Jinchuuriki was alone with the medical staff. His eyes were open, and he just seemed lost in his thoughts. I see you woke up. How do you feel? Asked Naruto. It's been a long time since I last had a moment of sleep. What happened? Replied the redhead. Naruto told him how the fight went after he had lost consciousness. Gaara was surprised someone the same age as him was able to subdue the beast. He wanted to know more about this mysterious blonde boy. Why did you not finish me when you had the chance? I threatened you on several occasions, and had it been me in your shoes, I would have not spared you," he said with no emotion. "Because I too experienced the pain, I too felt the loneliness. I am also hated by most of the villagers for something I had no control about. We share the same burden that," replied Naruto as Gaara's eyes widened at the revelation. "Then why are you not like me?" asked Gaara, still feeling the murderous aura of the Ichibi inside him as they spoke. "It all changed when I met her. I realized I wasn't alone anymore. Even me, the pariah, the demon, the monster as they all called me, had some people I could honestly call my family even if we don't share the same blood." Naruto said, "So that's why you are strong. I wish I had people like yours, or that we met earlier," said the Tsunade. "Well, I don't know about your village, but at least your brother and sister seemed concerned about you after our fight was over, or during your fight with Lee. Moreover, I think there's something wrong with your seal. I'm a beginner, but one of my teachers is a master in the art. He could take a look at it one day, to see if we can get you to have some control over your burden, and maybe catch a good night of sleep," replied Naruto with a smile. "I would like that," said Gaara with the first smile he ever showed to anyone. The smile disappeared almost immediately, and he spoke again. "I think there's something you and your leader needs to know. It's about some ex-ninja of yours trying to destroy the leaf with the help of Suna," started Gaara. End of flashback. Naruto ran off to the old man right after his meeting with Gaara. He told him everything. How Orochimaru had allied himself with Suna and had planned the destruction of the leaf, where all the enemy forces were hiding, and their strategy. Naruto also told Sarutobi that even if Konoha was a primary target of his old student, Sasuke was the secondary target. The snake planned to have him kidnapped during the confusion. Sarutobi was shocked first. His peaceful and trusting character could not believe that Orochimaru would sink so low, and that Suna was also working with the traitor. That second thought made him frown. He knew the Kazakage for a long time, and this course of action did not look like what the man would do. Adding to the fact that the man's chakra signature sitting right next to him during the finals felt highly familiar, the old man understood everything. He mobilized his Umbu immediately and called for a meeting with Baki, the second highest ranking officer in the Suna delegation. Said man already had his doubts and noticed a few strange events around the current Kazakage, but could not prove anything. What definitely convinced him was Naruto coming into the meeting with all the three Suna siblings, all attesting that their father had been effectively acting strangely in the past weeks. A plan was devised very quickly with the help of Shikaka Nara, Konoha's most brilliant strategist, and the participation of Baki, and all those he could reach and convince from their troops that their leader was not the man they thought. Uchiha Sasuke had also been pulled off the grid and placed in a secured place by a patrol of Umbu. Back in the arena, Naruto was pulled out of his musing as he saw the Sandaime back in the Kage box. The old man gave him a discreet nod. Kage box. As the Sandaime was taking his seat, Orochimaru was seething that his plan was foiled by the intervention of Jiraiya and the Kyuubi brat. The snake couldn't even leave since he supposedly still had a ninja fighting in the exams. That would be highly suspicious. Moreover, his spies reported that they lost the trail of Uchiha Sasuke as the boy was making his way to the stadium. Everything seemed to go wrong on this day, and calling off the invasion was most likely the best thing he did today. Sarutobi then decided to play a little game and definitely verify the man's identity. That was a great performance earlier. A shame your shinobi lost. Indeed, I was sure my son would have won his fight and then faced the last Uchiha in the following fight. Speaking of that, I don't see the Uchiha, replied the veiled Kage. No doubt about it now. The Kazakage I remember never calls Gaara his son, confirmed Sarutobi as he gave Jiraiya a nod. The Kazakage felt a strange sensation and immediately recognized the effect of what seemed to be a large-scale genjutsu cast all over the stadium. He knew he had given the signal to abort the operation, so it couldn't be his subordinate's jutsu. Then his eyes widened. He understood Konoha had discovered his plan and tried to use it against him. All of a sudden, a smoke bomb was thrown in the room. Both Sarutobi and Jiraiya leaped back from the fake Kazakage and his bodyguards in surprise. They were about to try to arrest them, but were not fast enough as Orochimaru and his men managed to fall back and then escape to the rooftop of the stadium. Rooftop! What they saw as they reached the top made them frown. All over the village, and even inside the stadium, Odo shinobi were being slaughtered by both Konoha and Tsunanines. Orochimaru realized the situation just went from bad to worse. He was joined by Kabuto after a few seconds. Our forces are targeted and destroyed all around the village, Orochimaru-sama reported his right-hand man. How about the troops outside the village? It's the same as inside. Suna has turned against us, and they can't get into the village, replied Kabuto. Go ahead and order them to fall back to Otogekyure, announced Orochimaru. How about the troops inside the village, my lord? Asked Kabuto. You have your orders, said the snake Sunin. Very well, Orochimaru-sama, answered Kabuto as he shined away. Orochimaru then turned to his elite guard. Have you done what I asked of you? Hi, Orochimaru-sama, replied the four shinobi kneeling before him. Good. Now leave, I will join you soon, he ordered, and they all left without a word. Just then Sarutobi, Jiraiya, and a team of Umbu arrived on the roof. This is the end, Orochimaru. I will finish what I started years ago, but this time I won't let you escape, declared Sarutobi. The end? Your old age must be getting to you, sensei. You may have won today, but I promise you Konoha will burn. I will come back another day for your head, you old fool, replied the snake. Do you honestly think I will let you get away after all this? Said Jiraiya. I see you are still the loyal dog of Konoha. You always were, Jiraiya, replied Orochimaru. As they were about to charge at him, Orochimaru did a single-hand sign, and suddenly detonations could be heard all over the village. This is what he ordered his men to do. They planted exploding tags that could be activated with his chakra all over Konoha. The traitorous snake then used this distraction to shunshin away from there. Leave him be. We don't have the time to run after him. At this rate, a full-scale fight with him inside the village would cost us a lot in terms of human lives, and repairs to be done after that, said the Sandame. He then turned to the Umbu commander. After dispatching the enemies inside the village, do not pursue them outside, and just help stabilize the situation inside. The Umbu immediately departed from the roof to relay the new orders. He will come back, you know, sensei, said Jiraiya in a serious tone. Yes, I know. That is why I wish to give you a new mission after everything is over here, replied an equally serious Sarutobi. Inside the stadium, almost every disguised Otonin had been neutralized by the combined forces of Konoha and Suna. The large-scale genjutsu used earlier was in fact the work of Kurenai. It was a simple sleeping genjutsu. Everyone under the rank of Chunin had been put to sleep for their own safety, including the civilians and the nobles' guests. A small number of genin did manage to resist the jutsu, Shino, Shikamaru, and the Sand siblings. Naruto had been awakened by Kurenai after she finished her jutsu. All of them assisted in dispatching the enemy shinobi forces. Time skip. Council chamber 1 week later. 1 week had passed since the day of the failed invasion of Konoha by Orochimaru. Sarutobi was currently debriefing his council about the aftermath of the battles. We lost 31 civilians, 57 shinobi, and we have over 200 wounded. Suna lost 48 shinobi, and it has been confirmed by Jiraiya-sama himself that the Kazakage has been murdered weeks before the day of the finals, reported the Umbu commander to the council. We estimate that Orochimaru lost more than 300 shinobi, and we captured 117 of his men, announced Ibiki. The damage to the structures all around Konoha were extensive. I estimate that the repairs will be complete in approximately 3 months. Added Shikaku. Sarutobi took a moment to think, then addressed the council. Very well. We have confirmation that Suna has been played by Orochimaru and was not voluntary in this invasion. For the duration of the repairs, all genin will be confined inside the village to help, and their jonin will be reaffected to higher missions outside the village to maintain our position of the strongest ninja village, announced the Hokage. Furthermore, it has come to my attention that within the lives we lost in our shinobi forces, most were Chunin ranks. Therefore, I will now announce the nominations for Chunin promotions from the current exams. Added to Sandame, the contestants nominated are Aburame Shino, Hyuga Niji, Nara Shikamaru, and Uzumaki Naruto. Said Saratobi. Every council member was nodding until they heard the last name, which caused an uproar from the civilian side. What? Why him? We cannot let that thing advance in the ranks, were the things shouted from the civilian side. Saratobi then flared his chakra in the room, silencing them. Did you fools not see his skills at the exams? If I only had one spot for the Chunin promotion, it would go to him automatically. He managed to subdue by himself an enemy Jinchuriki who went berserk. And do I need to remind you that promotions of MY Shinobi only concerns the ninja side of the council? I do not require your permission. Moreover, Naruto was the one who saved all your lives again, as he is the one who warned me about the invasion after he talked to the Tsunade Jinchuriki after their fight. Finally, not only you fools were looking at him in the finals. Foreign shinobi were also in the stadium as we open our gates to everyone during those times. Who do you think they will all report to their leaders about first when they come back to their village? No one could find any argument to counter the Kami no Shinobi, and he then dismissed them all. Time skip, Hokage office, 1 week later. True to his word, Saratobi had to sigh again as he opened the last edition of the bingo book when he saw that Naruto's profile had been updated. It read, Name, Uzumaki Naruto. Nickname, Konoha's Kaze no Kami. Age, 13. Rank, A+. Status, Chunin. Main attribute, Kenjutsu, Ninjutsu, and Fuinjutsu. Affinities, Wind. Bloodline, unknown. Description, has a very high affinity to the wind element. Holder of the mythical dragon summoning contract. Defeated Momochi Zabuza, the Kirigakure no Kijin in Wave Country. Defeated Sabaka no Gara the Suna's Ichibi Jinchuriki. Action, engage with caution. Bounty, 30 million Ryo dead or alive in IWA. Apparently, news of Naruto's progress traveled fast. IWA had the habit to target any promising shinobi from Konoha, so that wasn't really a shock either. Just then he was interrupted from his reading by the appearance of Naruto and Jiraiya in his office. Good to see you both here. I have an important mission for you too. Chapter 15. The Price of Glory. Hokage office. Saratobi sat in his office. In front of him were standing Naruto, with his new Chunin vest, and Jiraiya. Naruto-kun, sit down please, we need to talk. Now the last events from 2 weeks ago taught me one thing. Do you know what I learned? Asked the old man. That you shouldn't let masked men sit near you during official meetings? Replied the blonde with a smirk, making the 2 other people in the room chuckle at his reply. No, Naruto-kun, I learned that I'm getting old. Too old, in fact, to continue to keep this hat, said Saratobi as he took off his Hokage hat. Naruto's eyes widened at the sight. Why, you're finally giving me the hat, Gigi? Asked an astonished Naruto. After a few seconds where both Saratobi and Jiraiya had serious faces, almost too serious in fact, all of a sudden all hell broke loose. Ha! That's not nice to laugh, Jiraiya. Ha 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 ha! Started Saratobi. But did you see his face? Ha ha ha! This is too much, Naruto, you are the best. Continued the pervert. The poor Naruto was red in anger and embarrassment. He could also hear the hidden Umbu behind the walls laughing their hearts out as well. After a few moments, the older people in the room and in the walls finally calmed down. No, Naruto, as much as I would like for you to become my successor, you are not quite ready for that yet. Don't let it get to you. This may not be your time yet, but I know that time will come, and I'm sure Jiraiya feels the same about this, said Saratobi, getting a nod from the hermit. Naruto then gave him a bright smile, and then let Saratobi continue. I called you both here today for an important mission, Naruto, a rank at least. Naruto's eyes widened at this, his first A-rank mission as an official Chunin. Your mission is to go find my old student and teammate of Jiraiya. Her name is Tsunade, and she is the one chosen to replace me. Finish the Kage. Okay, if she's Zero Sennin's old teammate, then I guess she's strong enough to have the hat and to protect Konoha. When do we leave? Said Naruto, making the two men smile. The mission will start in 2 hours. Now there's something else we must discuss. Started Sarutobi as he made hand signs to seal the room from any spying activity. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. What could be more secret than the identity of the next Hokage? Naruto, you have to promise me to stay calm and let me finish talking before you say anything, asked Sarutobi with the most serious tone Naruto ever heard from him. Good. Now I know Natsuki already explained to you who your mother was. He got a nod from the blonde. Well, this is about your other parent. Naruto, this is about your father. At this point, Naruto jumped up from his seat with his eyes wide open, looking at the Hokage, a million thoughts crossing his mind. Seeing this, Jiraiya came up to him and put a hand on his apprentice's shoulder before saying, I know you were always told that no one knew who your father was, that your mother never told anyone, but that was a lie, said Jiraiya as he felt Naruto's body starting to shake under his hand. Naruto, your father was Namake's Minato, the Yondaime Hokage and my student. Finally, said Jiraiya, looking into the blonde's eyes. But then, how? Why? Were the only words coming out of Naruto's mouth. I'm so sorry, my boy. I know you always wanted to know about you, father. Learning that your father, the man who you consider as your idol, the one who sealed Natsuki in you and condemned you to a life of misery, are one, and the same person must hurt you terribly, but you have to understand the reasons, pleaded the old man. Minato was a man loved by all inside the leaf, but he was also a man feared by all throughout the world. He was the only shinobi with a flea-on-sight recommendation on his bingo book profile in every village that was considered hostile to Konoha. Added Jiraiya, if any of those villages had learned about you being his son, regardless of the means we would have taken to protect you, they would have sent countless assassination missions to take you out before you could even say your first word. That is also the reason why we couldn't let Jiraiya, your father's sensei, take you with him, as everyone would have been able to understand the link between you and your father, said Sarutobi. This is how much your father and his legacy were feared, the price of his glory. Finished Jiraiya. Are you going to be okay, Naruto-kun? Asked a worried Sarutobi. We could always postpone the mission or assign it to someone else. Naruto took a deep breath before he spoke. I'm not fine right now, Gigi, but I want to be. I want to be someone my father would be proud of when we finally meet again. He put his trust in me, and he gave me what most consider a curse. But to me, Natsuki is not. She is a blessing. He said those words with determination. Natsuki, who was listening to the whole thing, had tears in her eyes. How she wished she could be out of the seal at this moment and take her mate in her arms. I love you so much, Naruto-kun. I know we ended up together through odd events, but I'm glad we did. Before I was sealed in you, I never experienced those emotions. It was only thanks to the seal your father created that through our link, I learned the feelings of love and compassion. I know that you will find a way for us to be together in the real world one day, and I can't wait for that day to come. Naruto heard Natsuki through their link, and it only fueled his desire to become a better man. I understand the price of glory, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sensei. It took from me my family and my childhood. I will not let it take away my future, said Naruto with conviction in his voice as he bowed to the two men before him and left the office to prepare himself for his next mission. The two veteran shinobi were so stunned by the wisdom displayed by the young Chunin that they didn't even register that it was the first, and most likely the only time he would address them with a respectful honorific. It took them a moment before they could move from their spot. He will go far, sensei, further than any of us, and probably even further than his father, said Jiraiya with pride. I'm sure he will, Jiraiya. All we can do now is to look after him and help him achieve his dreams. I'm counting on you, Jiraiya. Don't let anything happen to him. He may not be ready right now, but he is the future of Konoha, and most likely the future to change this terrible world too, replied an equally proud Sarutobi. I will, sensei. And don't worry, I will also bring Tsunade back," announced Jiraiya as he also left the office. Sarutobi's eyes suddenly widened. He forgot to tell them about the new bingo book and Naruto's heritage. Konoha Main Gate. 2 hours later. As he made his way to the gate, Naruto could not help himself, as he took a long look at the Hokage mountain. The fourth face carved in it now held a whole new signification to him. He held his fist in its direction, silently taking an oath. "I'll make you proud, Dad. I'll become a man you will be proud to call your son when the time for us to meet again comes. I'm sure he's already proud of you, Naruto-kun, watching over you from the afterlife," added Natsuki. He then arrived at the gate, where Jiraiya was already waiting for him, and they immediately left. Small village. For hours later, as Jiraiya went in an information-gathering mission, Naruto was left alone in a room they booked in a hotel to pass the night. He was about to go to sleep when someone knocked at the door. This made him frown. The pervert had a spare set of keys, and no one should have been up to date with their mission. He used chakra to strengthen his vocal cords and talked in a more masculine voice. "Yes, what is it?" he asked first. "Room service. I have a message for a man called Jiraiya. Can you open the door?" replied an unknown voice. Naruto understood the situation immediately. They had made sure to use fake names for their check-in. He was proud about the name they came up with. He went with Imo while Jiraiya went with Orochipedo. The names made the receptionist frown at them. Not that they cared. The man behind the door was obviously up to no good, and Naruto understood he had to get the hell out of there. "I think you have the wrong room, sir," he said, then made his way to the window of his room. He was about to escape when the door violently opened, revealing 2 men dressed in strange black robes with red clouds on them. One of them looked like an overgrown Sasuke, while the other looked like he was constipated or something with the look he had on his blue face. "Naruto, I need you to come with us," said the Sasuke look-alike. "You have the wrong person. My name is Imo, though with how you just call me you may be a friend of my roommate, who goes by the name Orochipedo," replied a grinning blonde. That was enough of a taunt to make the raven-haired stranger develop a twitch in his left eyebrow. "You have become quite famous, Naruto-kun. We came for you before you can get stronger or someone else tries to take you out for your bounty," said the same man while his partner was still laughing at Naruto's earlier reply. "What bounty? What are you talking about?" asked the genuinely surprised Naruto. "Looks like you don't know that IWA offers 30 million Ryo for you, dead or alive," finally said the second man. Naruto's eyes widened at the news. He was a marked man. People actually wanted him dead outside of the village, not even knowing about his father yet. He would have to think about it later. For now, he knew none of his more powerful techniques were useful in a confined place like this hotel room, and those 2 clowns seemed to have some skill too. He then remembered a new jutsu he developed just after the exams, thinking about an opponent who gave him troubles during the preliminary fights. "Futon, Shirshikaku no Nikigo," he thought in his mind before taking a deep breath and charging chakra into his lungs. As he expelled the mass of air and chakra from his lungs, he directed the blast in the direction of his 2 opponents, who did not imagine that he could perform jutsu with no hand signs or calling them out loud. Naruto managed to perform an attack that reproduced what the Oto Shinobi Dosu had done to him, using air vibrations to attack his internal hearing system. The 2 mysterious men in front of him were obviously not expecting that kind of attack and did not protect their ears before it was already too late. The wind attack broke their balance for a short time, allowing Naruto to run past them in the corridor to try to run away until he could get his hands on the damn pervert. Naruto had to smile at the success of his new jutsu. No matter how experienced a shinobi may be, there was no way to train or subconsciously protect one's internal hearing organs. Unfortunately, he only made it halfway to reach the end of the corridor when the 2 men got out of the room. He understood that experienced shinobi could still recover quicker than others from that kind of attack. He cursed that he didn't have the time to perfect the jutsu. He imagined that at full power he could eventually permanently destroy an opponent's internal hearing organs with his jutsu using the right chakra output. Well, I'll admit that you're stronger than what your file says about you, Naruto-kun, said the first man before adding, Kisame, take him out. We can't have someone of his level running freely. The larger man turned to Naruto and began to charge at the young blonde with his large sword. Before he could reach Naruto, who had left his weapons and gears inside the room, a man-sized frog appeared before Naruto and shielded him from the sword slash. Naruto turned his head and was relieved to finally see his sensei. Jiraiya had an unconscious woman on his shoulder and seemed a little embarrassed. After putting her down against the wall, he addressed the two mysterious men. Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame, how pleasant meeting you there, he said. Jiraiya of the Chunin, supposed to be as strong as he is a pervert. One of them replied. Ero Sennin, how did they immediately find your weak point? Asked Naruto. A still embarrassed Jiraiya scolded Naruto for the nickname, but then turned immediately serious after that. Took a fighting stance and called his technique. Kuchios Gamaguchi Shirbari, called the hermit, as the walls of the corridor turned into a strange organic substance. Kisame, we're leaving, calmly said Itachi as they started to run to the other side of the corridor. As they were about to get trapped by Jiraiya's jutsu, Itachi used a strange black fire jutsu to dig his way out. Jiraiya sealed a portion of the strange black fire into a scroll to study it later, then returned to his student. As he dispelled his jutsu, Jiraiya was suddenly attacked by a green blur. Naruto recognized the man as being Lee's sensei and asked what he was doing there. I'm so sorry, Jiraiya-sama. I came here on a mission from Hokage-sama to warn you that young Naruto here may have new enemies after him, said Guy as he explained the new bingo book update to them. Okay, Guy, your mission is done. You can return to Konoha, said Jiraiya, dismissing him. Hi, Jiraiya, I heard about your mission. Please bring her back to heal my student too, I beg of you, said Guy as he bowed then left. Jiraiya and Naruto then returned to their room. Okay, Naruto, I've got Tsunade's last known position. It's a town not far from here called Tanzakugai. It will take us 2 days to get there. I'm sorry I wasn't there immediately for you today, but you did good against them alone, said Jiraiya. Thanks, Ero Sennin, replied the blonde. Time to up your training. While we travel, we will work on improving your Rasengan, said Jiraiya as they called it a night. Chapter 16, Princess Hunt. Tanzakugai. Naruto and Jiraiya arrived in Tanzakugai at noon. It was a pretty huge town, and since the last accident, Jiraiya decided it would be a better idea to stay close to his disciple at all time. That also meant that the old hermit could not go on his solo information gathering missions anymore. They decided to start looking for Tsunade in the more touristic part of the town, known for its cultural monuments and mostly in this case for its gambling houses. According to Jiraiya, Tsunade was supposedly a big-time addict on gambling games. This made Naruto wonder if this was really the right person to succeed as Gigi in becoming the next Hokage. When they arrived in the touristic area, they came across the ruins of what was supposed to be a huge historical castle from before the Shinobi era. This surprised Jiraiya, since it was still here the last time he went here. They spent the whole afternoon looking for Tsunade in the several gambling houses in the area, but did not find her. It was starting to get dark outside, and Jiraiya decided to stop looking for the day. They made their way to a local inn to eat dinner. Inside the inn, as they went inside the inn, Jiraiya suddenly stopped in his track and stared at the back of the room. His eyes widened at the sight of the person they had been looking for all day. Tsunade, said Jiraiya with a loud voice. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? Replied a young woman who stood up from her table in the back of the room. Naruto was stunned. This woman was their target, the last person on Ero Sennin's team with the traitorous snake. She did not look to be in her 50s at all. Naruto could honestly admit that she was extremely beautiful and that she could give Natsuki a run for her money. There was another woman sitting next to her. She appeared to be younger, most likely her assistant. Please, if she's really the pervert teammate, then she's probably using a henge to hide her true appearance, said Natsuki. Naruto followed Jiraiya, and they all sat at the same table. After ordering some food, Jiraiya started to engage the conversation with his old teammate. "It's been a long time, Tsunade Shizen," started Jiraiya. "Indeed it has. Nevertheless, I can't help but feel a little nostalgic. You are the second ghost of the past I've met today," replied Tsunade. "Orochimaru, what did he want?" asked Jiraiya. "Nothing much. It was just a greeting." "What do you want with me, though?" said Tsunade as she exchanged a look with her disciple Shizen, telling her to keep quiet for now. "Sensei has issued an order for you to come back to Konoha. You are to become his successor as the Godame Hokage," replied Jiraiya bluntly. Tsunade's eyes widened for a second before she closed them and took a deep breath. "I refuse. I'm not going back to that place. Besides, Hokage is a shitty job. Only a fool would want to become one," said Tsunade with a mocking tone. Naruto suddenly snapped. He jumped from his seat on the table and tried to punch Tsunade. Jiraiya stopped him in time. "Why did you stop me? I won't let anyone badmouth Gigi or any other Hokage in front of me, even if she is your ex-teammate," said Naruto with rage. "Calm down, Naruto. She is the best person to succeed the old man. She's the granddaughter of the first Hokage and the best medic ninja in the whole world. Don't you remember there are still lots of injured people back in the Leaf that need her help, including that mini-guy clone?" said Jiraiya. "Who is this boy Jiraiya?" asked an irritated Tsunade. "That's Uzumaki Naruto, newly promoted Chunin, and my part-time apprentice," replied the Toad Sage. Tsunade was surprised to meet the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko, son of the last Hokage, and her distant relative Uzumaki Kushina, from her grandmother's side Uzumaki Mito. "I don't know about her medical skills, but we could probably find much better than her to be Hokage. Look at her seriously. A 50-year-old drunk who uses a henge to look young and spends most of her time gambling," said Naruto. "You've got some guts, Gaki. Want to take this outside?" replied Tsunade. "Fine by me," said Naruto as they all left the inn. Outside the inn, Tsunade and Naruto faced each other on a deserted street outside the inn. Jiraiya and Shizen were on the side of the road. "I only need one hand to beat you, Chunin," said Tsunade. Naruto ignored the jab and charged at her. Unfortunately for him, she proved that she was indeed one of the legendary three. Her taijutsu skill was a lot better than his own. She managed to evade all his hits. She immediately took advantage of a moment of hesitation from him to send a devastating punch to his ribs. He flew 50 meters backwards and could feel that she most likely broke some of his ribs. "Before I send you to the afterlife, tell me, why do you care so much about the Hokage?" said the medic as she made her way towards him. "You wouldn't understand because, unlike you, to become Hokage is my dream," he replied with conviction as she stopped for a second, seemingly lost in her thoughts. Seeing an opening, and despite the pain he felt in his chest due to some broken bones, Naruto managed to stand up and charge at her. "It's still in the development phase, but I have to pull it off. She will see through everything else I may launch at her," thought Naruto as he charged a Rasengan in his hand, then started to channel wind chakra in it. Tsunade was pulled out of her musing when she saw the approaching orb. Thinking fast, she decided to punch the ground in front of her using a special taijutsu move. "Okasho," she said. The hit pulled large rocks out of the ground, blocking Naruto's path. Naruto managed to pull through the first rock, but was stopped by the second one. His technique lost stability, then dispelled, leaving him unprotected as an avalanche of rocks buried him. Shizen quickly pulled him out and started to heal his body as Jiraiya made his way to Tsunade. "That was overkill, Tsunade. You didn't need to go all out against a Chunin," said Jiraiya. "It's your own damn fault, Jiraiya. Why did you teach him the Rasengan, a move he obviously can't master at his age? That's why he sprouts shit about the being Hokage," replied Tsunade. Naruto, who had been healed by Shizen, joined them at that moment. "That wasn't Rasengan, you old woman. That was my elemental version of it. I just mastered the Rasengan last month. I only started training to add elemental chakra to it since yesterday. Just give me 3 days, and I'll master the new one," Tsunade was so stunned by the fact that Naruto already mastered the Rasengan, and that he was trying to add elemental chakra to it, a feat that even its creator, the Yondaime, could not achieve, that she completely forgot he just called her an old woman. A man doesn't go back on his words, Gaki, she said with a smirk before adding, "Want to make a bet?" "What kind of bet?" he asked. "If you manage to complete that jutsu of yours, you win. I'll even let you 5 days to do it. If you can't complete it after that time, then you will admit that the position of Hokage is shit, and then you with Jiraiya will leave me alone," she said. "What if I win?" he replied. "Then I'll come with you. I will even give you this," she said as she showed him her necklace, making Jiraiya and Shizen gasp. After Jiraiya explained to him where the necklace came from, Naruto accepted the bet, and they all left the street to retire for the night. Time skip, 4 days later. Naruto was training just outside the town. Several holes in the trees, ground, and surrounding rocks could be seen. Shizen had chosen to stay with him, to help him if he injured himself during his training. Jiraiya and Tsunade were in town, most likely drinking in some bar at the moment. Shizen had a kind and caring attitude. She was a great medic like her mentor. Naruto enjoyed spending time with her. It felt like he was with the sister he never had. He sighed as he just failed again another attempt to mix wind chakra to his Rasengan. "Can I help you in anything, Naruto-kun?" asked the brunette. "I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can make a perfect Rasengan, and my control over wind chakra is top-notch," replied a dejected Naruto. "I see what you mean. It's like you're trying to look left and right at the same time. Maybe your brain is just no supposed to work that way," she replied, trying to give him a medical or scientific point of view on his problem. Naruto's eyes widened at her remark. The solution was so simple he didn't even consider it. "You rock, Ne-chan. How could I not think about it? Thank you so much," he said, then made a swarm of Kage Bunchins and started to train again. Not understanding what she did for him, but seeing that he cheered up, Shizen smiled and continued to watch over him. Hotel room that night. Shizen made it back after she just healed Naruto. He trained until he had chakra burns on his hand and lost consciousness after using too much chakra. She thought that he would be out for 2 days at least, a little sad that he would lose the bet. As she was about to go take a shower, Tsunade came back. She asked her master if she planned to accept the mysterious deal Orochimaru proposed. Seeing Tsunade hesitate, she tried to threaten her against betraying the leaf. It only served to anger the blonde medic, as she sent a powerful punch into her apprentice's stomach, effectively knocking her out. The next morning, as Naruto woke up, he saw that he was back in the hotel. He immediately jumped out of the bed when he saw an unconscious Shizen lying on the floor. He managed to wake her up, but she panicked, thinking that it was already too late to stop her master from going to Orochimaru. She was relieved when Naruto told her that only a few hours passed since she brought him back to the hotel. She was about to run out of the room by the window when Jiraiya stopped her. He had been drugged by Tsunade, most likely to prevent him from following her to Orochimaru. Shizen told them everything. Orochimaru needed Tsunade to heal someone for him, and he offered in exchange to bring back to life the 2 people Tsunade lost in the previous war. They decided to head out to the place where Tsunade was supposed to meet Orochimaru. With Tsunade made it to the place where she met Orochimaru and his henchmen the last time. The snake was already there waiting for her. "Have you come to accept my offer, Tsunade?" asked Orochimaru. Tsunade closed her eyes. The faces of her little brother and her fiancé flashed through her mind. She took a deep breath, opened her eyes, and then replied, "No, I refuse. I may not have always held Konoha in high esteem, but I will never betray what my brother and my fiancé died for. Now I will kill you for even trying to make that deal with me." As she finished, she threw a punch to a wall behind her, shattering it into dust as if it was made of glass. "Come to think of it, we never seriously fought against each other in the past," said Orochimaru. As he was about to charge, Orochimaru was interrupted by a subordinate Kabuto. He was following Shizen and discovered that she was on her way, but what worried him was the people who were coming with her. He told his master of the incoming interruption, and they tried to flee. only to be pursued by an angered Tsunade. Naruto and the others arrived a few minutes later only to see the damage caused by Tsunade and deducted that she refused the deal, and Orochimaru did not take her answer well. They then followed her trail. Tanzakagai outskirts. Tsunade was getting tired. Fighting a fellow Sannin and his assistant at the same time proved to be a lot more complicated than she thought. Orochimaru found that they lost too much time, so he used a weakness of Tsunade to incapacitate her, her fear of blood. She was instantly paralyzed at the sight of blood, and rapidly took several hits. As they were about to take her out, a smoke bomb was thrown between them. When the smoke cleared out, Naruto and his group were all around Tsunade. Orochimaru gritted his teeth at the sight of the two men who prevented his invasion plan from working. His old teammate, the Toad Sage, and the Fox Brat. Shizen started to heal her master immediately. Tsunade was still in shock due to her phobia of blood. Jiraiya was not ready to fight either. The effect of the drug Tsunade gave him still hindering his movements. Naruto knew he was the only one at 100% on his side. Nice seeing you again so soon, Jiraiya, and you must be the Kyuubi brat. Uzumaki Naruto, it is really nice to finally meet you. Started Orochimaru. Naruto, you take the assistant. I'll handle Orochimaru, said Jiraiya as he saw Shizen still healing her master. Shizen, cover us as soon as your master is better. Orochimaru immediately summoned two giant snakes. He jumped on top of the first one, while Kabuto took command of the second one. Seeing this, Jiraiya tried to summon his battle frog too, but failed miserably, not being able to use his chakra correctly. You are still an idiot, Jiraiya. Well, I guess this is Tsunade's work, since even you wouldn't mess up that kind of jutsu, taunted Orochimaru. Seeing his master being insulted, Naruto decided to participate in the battle as well, and went through hand signs, ninpo. Kuchios no jutsu, he chanted as he slammed his hands on the ground. Then two giant dragons appeared. The first one was the fire dragon Hiryu that he already summoned during the Chunin exams. He didn't know the second one. It had a very long green serpentine body with short limbs and large claws. It had two long horns on top of its head and red piercing eyes. It is an honor to be summoned again, Naruto-sama, said Hiryu. Greetings, Naruto-sama. I am Shirin, a venom dragon. How may we serve you? Said the second summon. I need you to assist me and my master in defeating our enemies on top of those two snakes right there, replied Naruto, showing Orochimaru and Kabuto. Naruto jumped behind Hiryu while Jiraiya went with Shirin. Chapter 17. The Will of Fire. Outskirts of Tanzakagai. As the smoke resulting from Naruto's summoning technique cleared out, Orochimaru cursed as he remembered that the blonde could also summon. Tsunade and Shizen were stunned to see Naruto bring out not one but two large dragons, mythical creatures that were thought to be long gone. Naruto was riding on top of Hiryu, a flying fire dragon. They were high in the sky above the position of Tsunade and Shizen. Jiraiya was standing on the ground in front of Tsunade and her apprentice. He was surrounded by the long body of Naruto's second summon, Shirin the crawling venom dragon. With Naruto used his chakra storage seal immediately, since summoning two huge dragons did take a lot out of him. As he felt his reserves go up again, he then addressed his dragon. Okay, looks like Arrow Sennin is in position as well. Hiryu, let's try some fireball against them first. We'll try to separate them and then engage the silver-haired one, said Naruto to his dragon. Very well, Naruto-sama. Hang on tight, please, we're going down, replied the fire dragon as he started to dive in the direction of Orochimaru and Kabuto on the ground. As they reached his firing range, Hiryu slowed down their speed and then gathered some air into his lungs to prepare for his assault. The fire dragon launched a huge fireball, targeting the space between Orochimaru and Kabuto. As the fireball impacted the ground, Orochimaru and Kabuto quickly moved away from it in two different directions. Naruto could analyze that those snake summons were pretty fast in their evasion movements, making it hard to hit them with Hiryu's fireballs. Cover me, Kabuto. I'll go finish Jiraiya and Tsunade while they're still not at 100%, said Orochimaru. Hi, Orochimaru-sama, replied Kabuto as he positioned himself and his snake mount between his master and the approaching form of Naruto on his dragon. Naruto saw Orochimaru and his snake's retreating forms and smiled as the first part of his plan was done. He could now focus all his attention to Kabuto as he commanded Hiryu to continue bombarding their target from the sky. Kabuto cursed at the blonde. Even if he was following the orders of his master, he was pulled further and further away from the side of Orochimaru. His original plan was just to temporarily distract Naruto while allowing his master to finish the other group, but always with the possibility to assist him in the event that fighting two fellow Sannin members proved to be too hard. Now he was dragged too far from Orochimaru to possibly help him. With Jiraiya, Naruto did his job. Orochimaru is coming alone this way. Prepare yourself, Shirin. I'm counting on you. I still can't mold my chakra properly thanks to Tsunade's drug in my system, said Jiraiya to the dragon Naruto summoned to assist him. Very well, Jiraiya-dano. I shall assist you in fighting off enemies of Naruto-sama. My abilities allow me to throw acid or poison blasts. My claws are coated with a very strong neurotoxic agent that can kill an average human in seconds, and my scales are pretty resilient to any elemental or physical attacks, replied Shirin. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizen were all impressed at the dragon's ability. However, before they could discuss further about the dragon's powers, Orochimaru arrived on top of his giant snake summon. Still trying to play the hero A and protect Tsunade, Jiraiya. You are both so pathetic. It disgusts me that people would put us three on the same level. No matter. After today, I will be the only one of us to stay alive, said Orochimaru. Jiraiya exchanged a nod with Shizen, and she suddenly took her master and fled the area, leaving Orochimaru and Jiraiya alone. Seeing this, Orochimaru tried to cut their retreat, but had to stop to avoid an incoming blast of acid launched by Shirin. The attack missed, but everyone could see when it fell to the ground the damage it did, melting concrete rock, like it was nothing. Shirin charged air in his lungs to prepare for another blast of acid aiming at Orochimaru. Seeing this, Jiraiya tried to help with his currently limited powers. As the spray of acid left the dragon's mouth, Jiraiya went through hand signs and called his jutsu, Doton, Yomi no Yuma. Orochimaru was ready to evade another blast of acid when he suddenly felt the ground shake. Looking down, he saw the ground had transformed into a swamp. Seeing his summon trapped and the incoming spray of acid upon them, Orochimaru cursed and abandoned his snake. The creature was hit this time. The acid spread all over its body, killing it instantly. As he landed, Orochimaru went through hand signs and then took a crouching position. Mandara no Jin, he called his jutsu. From his mouth, thousands of snakes came out, slithering as they made their way towards Jiraiya. The swarm of snakes took the form of a giant living wave as they approached Jiraiya's position. When they were close enough, each of them opened its mouth, and the tip of a sword could be seen in each of their mouth. Jiraiya was aware that if he tried to evade the attack, it would continue its path and reach Tsunade and Shizen. As he was trying to come up with a jutsu to stop the incoming attack, Shirin suddenly took position around him, shielding the toad sage with his own body. The attack hit them hard. Jiraiya could feel the ground shaking all around him. When the ground stopped shaking, Shirin moved his body so Jiraiya could get out. What Jiraiya saw made him widen his eyes. The snakes dispelled, but not without leaving a present. Shirin's body was covered by stab wounds by the swords they had. He was bleeding profusely. I'm glad you're all right, Jiraiya-dano. I'm sorry I cannot help you further, though, said the dragon as he was about to dispel himself. That's quite all right, Shirin. You did more than enough. It seems Tsunade's drug effects on my body finally wore off. I have full control again on my chakra. Thanks a lot for your assistance. I will tell my student that you fought admirably. You can go back now, replied Jiraiya as Shirin dispelled himself after bowing his head. Jiraiya now faced Orochimaru. Both of them lost their summon protection and were ready for the second round, while Tsunade was still recovering from her previous fight. With Naruto and Kabuto were currently in a stalemate. Naruto could not hit Kabuto and his snake because they were faster, and Kabuto could not reach Naruto and his dragon since they could fly. They could hear the sounds of the battle between Jiraiya and Orochimaru still going on. Kabuto was even worried for his master when they saw the snake summon die after being hit by the other dragon. He decided to try to change tactics to catch the inexperienced Chunin off guard. Kabuto waited for Naruto to get close again before he went through hand signs, Katan. Kasumian no Jutsu, he said as he expelled a huge cloud of burning ashes all around them. Hiryu was fine inside the opponent's jutsu, but Naruto wasn't. He had to lower his guard to protect his airways and gave Kabuto the opening he needed. Kabuto launched another jutsu on the blonde. Suniajeshu, he called as he launched snakes at Naruto that managed to catch him and throw him off his dragon. Naruto landed hard on the ground and still found it hard to breathe due to the ashes in the air. Kabuto was about to charge at Naruto to finish him when he heard someone launch a jutsu at them, Dokagiri, as dark cloud of smoke appeared out of nowhere and surrounded him. He was fast enough to jump out of the cloud, but the snake couldn't. Kabuto turned his head in the direction of the voice who called the technique, and he saw that it was Tsunade's assistant. They had unknowingly reached Tsunade and her apprentice during their fight. His snake suddenly vomited blood and fell to the ground dead. He knew that her previous attack must have been based on poison, being a medic himself. Seeing Naruto still down, Shizen prepared herself for another attack and launched a second Dokagiri in Kabuto's direction. When the smoke cleared out, Kabuto was nowhere to be found. Shizen's eyes widened as she realized too late where he was. Kabuto jumped out of the ground and used his chakra scalpel to sever the nerves in Shizen's legs, effectively preventing her from moving away as he went to kick her to the side. Seeing an unprotected Tsunade not far from him, he decided to go finish her off before she had the chance to regain her strength and composure. As he was about to land a hit on the still unmoving Tsunade, he was kicked out of the way by Naruto. "Are you all right, Tsunade Bakon?" asked the still panting Naruto. "Naruto, what are you doing? He is too strong for you, and you have barely any chakra left. You must flee. Leave me alone here and save yourself," replied an emotional Tsunade as flashes of her younger brother and fiancé dying went through her mind. "Don't worry, none of you will leave this place alive," said Kabuto as he stood up and charged in their direction, but had to fall back after Hiryu landed in front of him, preventing him from going further in that direction. "Hiryu, can you stall him for a bit? I need some time to prepare my next move," said Naruto to his dragon. The dragon nodded and started throwing fireballs at Kabuto while staying on the ground to cover his master and Tsunade, spreading his large wings to prevent Kabuto from seeing Naruto prepare his attack. Naruto ignored Tsunade's pleas for him to leave her and save himself, and made a single-hand sign, Kage Bunshin, he said as his clone appeared. He then turned his head in Tsunade's direction and gave her a smile. "Don't worry, Bachan. Until I become Hokage, I will never die," he said with conviction as he charged a perfect Rasengan, while his clone channeled wind chakra in the chakra orb. As he arrived running behind Hiryu, who was still blocking Kabuto, he ordered his dragon to fall back. "Now, Hiryu," he yelled as the dragon suddenly jumped in the air, then dispelled himself, since he used most of his chakra to fire continuously at Kabuto. Kabuto saw that it was too late to fall back and decided to take on the attack head-on. He went through hand signs and called a jutsu, Kachos. "Rashomon," he called as he placed his hands to the ground. A huge structure rose from the ground in the shape of an enormous door with demonic markings all over it, while Kabuto was in a crouching position behind it. Naruto also decided to go through with his new technique and launched it against the strange structure in front of him. "Futon, Rasengan," he called as he slammed his jutsu against the door. As Naruto's jutsu touched the Rashomon, a huge flash blinded everyone. Then the sound of an explosion could be heard. Naruto's Rasengan expanded upon impact and completely vaporized the defensive structure. It then continued on its original path behind it, catching Kabuto off guard and dragging him along. It finally stopped 50 meters later against a huge rock. As the jutsu finally dispelled, Kabuto appeared crushed against the rock that stopped it. He was cut in several places. He was heavily bleeding as he laid there unconscious on the ground. Tsunade was stunned. Naruto did complete his jutsu in only 5 days. The results were astonishing. This Rasengan had to be 10 times more powerful than the original one, judging by the look of what it did to the Rashomon. Naruto took a peek at the results of his first successful attempt to make the Wind version of the Rasengan, then looked back at Tsunade with a grin. "I win the bet, Bachan," he said before falling to the ground unconscious due to chakra exhaustion. Tsunade rushed to him and saw that he was fine. She smiled, took off her pendant, and attached it around Naruto's neck. She saw that she also finally stopped shaking due to her crisis earlier after seeing blood. "Yes, you and Naruto. It seems I'm finally free of my past, and from my old demons too," said Tsunade as she took the unconscious body of Naruto in her arms and hugged it with tears in her eyes. With Jiraiya, both Sannin were in a high taijutsu battle when they saw the flash of Naruto's jutsu. Their eyes widened at the sight of the damage done by that jutsu. "Looks like Naruto finally did it. I knew he would," thought Jiraiya. To think that he could go through the Rashomon, even if it was a low version of the true Rashomon. Jiraiya has recovered from whatever Tsunade did to him, and Tsunade herself looks like she's back in business as well. It's a shame I couldn't get her to heal Kimimaro-kun for me. I will have to go with the original plan and get Sasuke-kun after all. Analyzed Orochimaru. I can't let that one get stronger either. He is already close to Kabuto's level. He could prove to be troublesome later if I let him grow further. As Orochimaru finished his thinking, he managed to catch a still unfocused Jiraiya off guard and temporarily paralyze him. He then charged in Naruto and Tsunade's direction with his sword drawn. With Tsunade was healing the minor cuts Naruto had all over his body when she felt the killing intent of Orochimaru behind her. She turned in time to launch herself between the snake and Naruto, taking the hit instead of the young blonde. "I didn't target you. Why do you put your life on the line for him, Tsunade?" asked Orochimaru. "Because he is the future of Konoha. He is a bearer of the will of fire, and I will save him even at the cost of my life, because from now on I am the Godame Hokage of Konoha," roared Tsunade as she stood up and used her technique. "Infuen Kai, Sozo Seze," said Tsunade as she glowed, her chakra healing every injury she had. Orochimaru was at a disadvantage now. He had already used a lot of chakra against Jiraiya and the other dragon summon, so he took several hard hits from Tsunade, who had had the time to recover. Seeing that drawing the fight further was pointless. First, Tsunade would never help him now, and second, he couldn't match the firepower of 2 Sannin at the moment with Kabuto down. He decided to pull back. He jumped back towards the down form of Kabuto and then fled the area. After some time, Jiraiya and Shizen finally managed to get back to Naruto and Tsunade. "Are you all right?" asked Jiraiya to Tsunade. "I'm fine. I will recover after a good rest," replied Tsunade before adding, "He did it, Jiraiya. He really finished what Minato started all those years ago. Yes, I saw the result of the jutsu. His parents would be proud of him. He has the will to never give up. He is a true shinobi of Konoha, a bearer of the will of fire," said Jiraiya, looking down at his disciple with pride. "Let's go home," she finally said. Chapter 18. Leaving the Leaf. Naruto and his group decided to take the long route to go back to Konoha, as none of them had really recovered from their battle with the traitorous snake. They decided to take it easy until they reached Konoha. Consequently, they stopped at every hot springs, taverns, and gambling houses on their way back to the Leaf. Jiraiya usually disappeared as soon as they arrived in a new town, supposedly going to scout the area for any potential danger, but you could almost always find him near the hot springs. Tsunade just went for the taverns to order their most expensive sake, or just spent her time losing money at the local gambling houses. That only left Naruto and Shizen trying to prevent their master from doing those stupid things. As they finally made it back after 2 long weeks in front of the main gates of Konoha, everyone had different reactions at the sight of the giant doors. Jiraiya had a lecherous smirk on his face, most likely ready to go explore the less recommended area of the village. Naruto was relieved to have finally come home after successfully completing his first A-rank mission as a Chunin. For Tsunade and Shizen, however, it was the first time in more than a decade that they set foot in the village. Shizen tried to comfort her master as memories of the past, and her losses came back rushing at her. The Chunin guarding the gates were surprised at the sudden appearance of not one, but two of the legendary Sannin. They informed the group that Sarutobi had been expecting them for quite some time now, and ordered for them to immediately report to the Hokage Tower as soon as they arrived. Hokage Office. They all arrived in front of the office of the Hokage using Shunshin, and before Shizen could require a meeting with the Sandaime with his secretary, Naruto just kicked the door open as usual before going inside. Jiraiya just followed his disciple with a smirk, while Tsunade and Shizen were stunned at the blatant disrespect towards the shinobi no kami. "Hello, Gigi, I'm back from my mission," yelled Naruto as he stepped inside the office. "Nice to see you back, my boy. I assume the mission was a success seeing the guests you have with you," replied the old man. "It has been a long time, Sensei," said Tsunade as she saw her old teacher. "It's good to be back, Hokage-sama," added Shizen. "Very well. I welcome you all back. Now, Naruto, I know you weren't the highest-ranking shinobi on this mission, but I'd like to hear your report anyway. Consider the training as your new duties as a Chunin will have you lead your own teams in the future. You will also have to do this at some point," announced Sarutobi. Naruto was not used to receive all the attention like this, from a room full of people of Kage level no less. He was red with embarrassment, while the others were looking at him with smirks on their face, realizing that there was indeed something that could effectively shut the young exuberant blonde up. Naruto finally managed to regain his composure, took a deep breath, then started to report on what had happened on his mission. The meeting with Itachi and Kisame, then the tracking of Tsunade that led them to Tanzagagai to finally finish with the battle against Orochimaru and Kabuto. As Naruto finished his report, Sarutobi had to frown again at the interference of Orochimaru. He was already aware of Naruto meeting Itachi and his associate when Guy came back. He took a moment to gather his thoughts, then addressed the people in front of him again. "You did good, Naruto-kun. I'm very proud of you, and the mission will go on your record not as an A-rank, but as a S-rank one due to the interference of two S-class missing shinobi of our village. Tsunade, as you already know, I am stepping down. You will be the next Hokage after me, and the official coronation ceremony will take place next week. We need time to get the officials to arrive in Konoha to announce it. I have a few things for you to do in the meantime. We will discuss about them in a moment. Jiraiya, I want you to investigate the group that Itachi belongs to. Their goals are obviously linked to Naruto, so I want to know more about them. You are to leave as soon as possible, but we need a report at least in a month. Tsunade and Shizen, you will both head to the hospital as soon as possible. There are still lots of injured people there waiting for treatment, and especially a group of genin and chunin who just came back yesterday after some disturbing events I will reveal to you now." After the Sarutobi motioned for everyone to get comfortable, then started to report the event that went on during the week that led to the situation they were in right now. Apparently, in the same time, Orochimaru tried to get Tsunade to join him and heal whoever he wanted her to heal. He also sent a group of shinobi called the Sound Four here in Konoha in order to convince Uchiha Sasuke to join him. It seems they managed to infiltrate the village quite easily and successfully convinced the last loyal Uchiha to join their master. He was seen leaving the village freely by one Haruno Sakura, his teammate, and longtime loyal fangirl. In her defense, the girl did try to stop him, but he easily knocked her out, and she was found the following morning unconscious by a patrol. Sarutobi then took a short pause in his tale to let everyone assimilate what happened so far. Tsunade had to frown at her old teammate, who once again tried to harm the leaf, while Jiraiya was wondering what the snake wanted to do with the Uchiha heir. Naruto had no particular reaction to those events. Sure, he didn't really like to associate himself with Sasuke, but he never wished for anyone to become slaves to Orochimaru. After the short recess, Sarutobi continued with the report. According to Sakura's testimony, Sasuke and the Sound Four had less than a day ahead, so he organized a track and pursuit mission with the sparse elements he had at his disposal. Team 9 and 10 were available. Aburame Shino would temporarily replace Naruto in Team 8, while Sakura would replace Lee in Team 9. This made a total of 3 genin teams, with a newly appointed Chunin to lead them in the person of Hyuga Niji for Team 9, Nara Shikamaru for Team 10, and Aburame Shino for Team 8. The Jonin sensei were all occupied with other mission at that moment. According to the reports, the track and pursuit teams managed to catch up with the fleeing group in less than a day. Apparently the Sound Four had to carry Sasuke's body, who was inside a wooden box with strange markings on it, making their pace much slower than normal. As to why Sasuke was in that box, no one really knew. The Konoha's forces even came in contact with a team from Suna, who took part in the Chunin exams by pure coincidence. As a sign of good faith between allies, the team from Suna joined them in their mission to recover the Uchiha. With the firepower they had and the advantage in numbers, they managed to wipe out the Sound Four members. However, as they were about to retrieve the box containing the body of Uchiha Sasuke, it suddenly opened and from it came out a very different Sasuke. He was a lot stronger and faster than what they could remember of him. Teammate, who was the only one around him when the box opened since all the teams chose to split in order to neutralize the 4 bodyguards, was not able to stop him from leaving. Sasuke managed first to incapacitate the surprised Hinata and Kiba. The final fight took place at the Valley of the End at the borders between Fire and Rice Country. Shino was the one to face his teammate from Team 7. Sasuke ended up injuring critically Shino with a lightning jutsu that made everyone in the room frown knowing who he learned it from. Sasuke ended up leaving towards Rice Country, where the Konoha forces could not follow him. The rest of the rookies were escorted back to Konoha, some more injured than the others, but the one needing the most attention was Shino. Sarutobi finished the report, then urged Tsunade and Shizen to head to the hospital and take charge once there. He dismissed Naruto and Jiraiya after that. Konoha Hospital. Naruto decided to follow Tsunade and Shizen to the hospital, guessing that most of his comrades were there, and especially his team. Jiraiya decided to go his way, though he took the direction of Konoha's hot springs. Once at the hospital, every medical staff immediately recognized Tsunade. She decided to go to the central office and from there organize her work for the following days with Shizen. Naruto went to the receptionist and asked for the rooms of the rookies and especially his teammates. It turns out that thanks to Gaara's intervention and his siblings, most of the rookies were safe with only minor injuries. The only one who really needed Tsunade's help was Shino. He had been stabilized, but he still needed emergency treatment. Naruto had been happy to see Gaara again. It seemed that he was on much better terms with his family that last time. He thanks them all for their help even if Gaara said that he didn't need to, saying that Suna was Konoha's ally. The Jonin sensei started to arrive too. Kurenai was relieved to see that her team was all right. Kakashi, though, had a sad look in his eyes. He realized that he failed his team as a teacher. His student betrayed the Leaf, and in doing so he also critically injured his own teammate. Guy and Asuma tried to cheer him up, but he just went to visit Shino, then left without saying a word to anyone else. After seeing that everyone was all right or in good hands, Naruto finally decided to go home. Naruto's apartment. That night Naruto couldn't sleep. He thought about the last events, his meeting with Itachi and Kisame, his fight with Kabuto, and then how Orochimaru almost killed him if it wasn't for Tsunade. "You can't sleep, Naruto?" asked Natsuki through their link. "I was thinking about my dream, Nachan. To become the Hokage has always been my dream, even before I knew that my father was the 4th. Replied Naruto. "What about it? Is it not your dream anymore?" Natsuki asked, a little confused by her mate's words. "It's not that. I still want to become Hokage, the best there ever was. I just can't help but feel that I'm not strong enough. I need to become much more stronger than this if I want to be able to protect my precious one. The day I finally find a way to free you, I don't want to be a burden to you. You are the most powerful Bijou, but there's a man with powers strong enough to control you. I can't let this happen. I won't let this happen," confessed Naruto. "So that's what on your mind and keep you from sleeping. Listen to me. You will never be a burden to me. There is no risk of that man ever using his powers to control me again either. When I was forced out of your mother, I was weak and unprepared. That's how he could surprise me. I will not fall for the same attack twice, believe me. She replied to him, Okay, I believe you, but I still want to become stronger. You may feel that I'm strong enough as I am, but I can't help but feel the need to know that not only you but everyone that's precious to me is safe too. Naruto said with conviction, Then there is only one way. You have to train. It may be a good idea to distance yourself from Konoha, from your life as a ninja for a while. You've come a long way in your mastery over your bloodline, but there is still more to be done. If you stay here, you will be constantly interrupted in your training to become stronger. Analyze Natsuki. But where should I go? There are some strong people out there who want my head. And now that Sasuke has gone to Orochimaru, only God knows what the snake is doing with his new toy. They both pretty hate my guts. Replied Naruto, We will think about it later. Try to get some sleep for now. There's still some time before you have to make a decision, said Natsuki as they both went to sleep. Hokage office, 1 month later. It's been a month since that night, where Naruto vowed to become stronger for the sake of his loved ones. During that time, Tsunade took charge and became the 5th Hokage. Sarutobi became her only advisor as she decided to fire the 2 others, while Danzo managed to integrate the civilian council by some loophole with his youth centers. Tsunade was currently sitting behind the Hokage desk. Jiraiya had just come back from his investigation mission this morning. As the news also concerned him, Naruto had been summoned by Tsunade to her office to hear the news from Jiraiya. Sarutobi was also present in the room as Naruto arrived oblivious to why he was there. After sealing the room, Tsunade motioned for Jiraiya to start his report. From what I could gather with my spies, it looks like there is an organization called Akatsuki whose goal is to gather all the Bijou. For what objective, I don't know yet. They are composed of S-rank missing ninja from all villages with no distinction. I can only say so far that we know Uchiha Itachi from the Leaf and Hoshigaki Kisame from Kiri are active members, while Orochimaru was at one time a member as well but decided to leave them. Started Jiraiya. Now about our friend the Snake. It seems he managed to successfully open the door to immortality. By a complex process, he is able to transfer his soul into the body of a host. Then he takes total control of that body, and the soul of the previous host simply vanishes as a result. My guess is that he wanted Tsunade to heal whoever he had planned to take as a host in the event that he couldn't get the Uchiha. Continued Jiraiya. According to my spies, both sides require long and complex preparations in order to perform what they intend to do. Therefore, my estimation is that we have a 3-year preparation time in front of us before any side decides to move again. Finished Jiraiya. Did it, took Sasuke's body? Asked Naruto. It seems the Uchiha did not arrive on time, and Orochimaru had to transfer into another body in the meantime. So it's safe to say that he, too, has 3 years before him. Replied Jiraiya. That's also one of the reasons we are all here today, Naruto. Spoke Tsunade. Seeing what's ahead of you in the future, we feel it is essential that you too prepare for the future. Added Sarutobi. Consequently, you will become my full-time apprentice for the 3 years to come. I will take you out of the village and will train you to become Konoha's best during that time. I have already informed Kurenai about this, and you will be placed on the reserve list from Konoha's ninja during that time. Finished Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened at all this. It was perfect he would get to do what he discussed about with Natsuki. With Jiraiya by his side, he would not have to fear all the time that others might come to harm him, even if he seemingly had 3 years of peace from his worst enemies. When do we leave? Asked Naruto with a smirk. We leave tomorrow at dawn. Go pack and take a good look at the village. You won't be seen again for quite some time after that. Replied Jiraiya. I'm going to miss you, Gigi, Bachan, said Naruto as he went to give Tsunade and Sarutobi a hug. We LL miss you too, brat. And I hope that when you come back, the pervert will have teach you how to properly address your superiors. Tsunade said with a smirk while Sarutobi chuckled. You're not my superiors. You're my precious ones, said Naruto as he finally left. No to be seen around Konoha again for the next 3 years. And so, Naruto's journey takes an unexpected turn as bonds of love and loyalty intertwine with the mysterious power of dragons. But this is just the beginning. What challenges lie ahead for the ninja? Who dares to fall for the Queen of Beasts? And how will the dragons influence his path to becoming Hokage? Stay tuned, because in Part 2, the stakes get higher, the enemies grow stronger, and Naruto's resolve is put to the ultimate test. Will his new powers and relationships be enough to protect those he loves? Or will the weight of destiny tear everything apart? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Anime T23 for more epic what-if adventures, and let us know in the comments, what do you think will happen next? Until next time, believe it,